This is natural-sounding voice actor Roger Craig Smith, and you're listening to Scott Clark and the Gaming Outsider! That sounds normal, right? That's kind of how I talk, actually.
Hey there, Go listeners. We're back after a week off, and this week we're talking about handheld gaming, whether or not we like to play portably, and what our favorite games from handheld consoles are. In news, the Ubisoft Forward presentation continued the not E3 season, and Nintendo had quite the direct this past week. Zack put some time into Still Wakes the Deep, as well as a DLC for Elden Ring called The Shadow of the Erdtree. Alyssa played Duck Detective, The Secret Salami. I believe Zack played that as well. I also got a chance to play a couple demos that I decided to talk about. One is an upcoming action stealth game called Steel Seed, and of course, a pinball Metroidvania or roguelike called Pinball Spire. Finally, Jacob stops by to talk about a PC game called Soulmask, and Mark also has experience with a game called Aarik and the Ruined Kingdom. This is The Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to The Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community, which can be found at thegamingoutsider.com or facebook.com/groups/thegocast, and even on our Discord server. There's a link for it in the show notes, and I would love it if you did join. It is Sunday, June 23rd. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and joining me are my good friends, Mr. Zack Parkerson.
Well, hey, Scott, how you doing?
I have been better. It's been a day. But we'll get to that. Alyssa, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty well today. And of course,
Yeah.
You guys just made it better. So much better. Because you always do.
It's been a while, and I want to apologize to everybody. We did not release an episode last week. It is not our norm. I don't think we've ever taken an unscheduled week off, but we had a whole slew of things that just worked against us, including technology and scheduling. It was just not possible for us to sit down for 2 hours to get an episode out last week. So I apologize, but I think we're going to make up for it with this episode, because I have a feeling we're going to be talking for a good long time today, because there's lots of things to cover. You guys want to jump right into it?
Yes.
Yeah.
For the sake of the audience, let's get.
Or
right
would you
into
like
it.
Would you like to hear about my day first?
Oh yes.
Well, you
sure,
did promise
of
to
course.
tell us. And we're both
Yeah.
like on tenterhooks right now.
I'm still undecided if the fire you alluded to was metaphorical or literal. So
It was metaphorical, but it is a pretty big fire. As you guys know, I am in the middle of a do-it-yourself construction project. My wife has decided that we need a new deck on the back of our house. So last weekend, I had actually Jacob and Dominic over to help tear it out. It took about 4 hours to tear the deck apart and put it in a dumpster. And since then, I've been working with my buddy Ron to plan building this new deck, and we're doing it the correct way, which means instead of just setting it on top of the patio that is there, we are actually digging. We're going to be digging about 42 inches down, 12 holes, about 42 inches deep, to actually do cement footers and everything, and we're doing this legit. But the problem is that we've got a patio that's, where the deck used to be, like a stone patio.
Mm-hmm.
So come to find out that we had to not only cut out squares where the holes were going to go, but I had to basically cut out an entire trench, 2 trenches basically, of this patio, so that we can actually have room for the beams. I know this people don't care, but there is a point to what I'm getting to. So in order to cut these pieces of patio out, which is essentially concrete, I had to use a gas-powered diamond-bladed saw to cut through this concrete, and basically cut the long strips, and then once I have like the railroad track thing set up, then cut about 4 or 5 inch pieces of this, pry out the pieces, and stack them in the driveway so that we can dispose of them later. We got to the very end today, and just so that you guys are aware, I don't know how it is in your guys' states, but we have something here in Illinois called Julie. Anytime you do any kind of digging, you have to call Julie, which is just like the acronym for the number or whatever, to have the people come out and verify that it's okay to dig. Make sure you're not hitting any power lines, telephone lines.
I thought America was a
cable.
land of freedom.
Well, you don't want to cut into that
Hey,
stuff.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So we got that all approved, and everything was fine. I found out the hard way today that Julie only takes care of things that the city or outside companies provide, like the power, power from the box to the house, the telephone, and the cable. What they don't look for or search for is power that comes from the house to a freestanding structure that was built, aftermarket, which in this case is my garage.
Mm-hmm.
So at the very end, we're cutting through this concrete and can't get this brick out. And I'm trying to pry it out with a crowbar, a metal crowbar, by the way. And realize the reason we couldn't get it out is that we had cut through the power line from the house to the garage. So I now have no power in my garage.
Oh no.
And the saw that we are using, by the way, is a wet saw. Basically, you hook up a hose to it so that it squirts water onto the saw to keep it cool and to keep the dust from kicking up everywhere. So we are cutting into my 15-volt power cable with a wet saw, and I don't know how we didn't get electrocuted. I don't know how. Cut clean through it. It's completely done. So that put a damper on my deck project because now I have to figure out how to get that fixed, and I don't know anything about electricity, so we have somebody come and looking at it tomorrow. Thankfully, nothing in the house is an issue, but I'm a little still freaked out because I just cut off the entire power route to my garage and can't open my garage door. Yeah, I have to do it manually now.
Why not focus on the positive and talk about how cool you are that you managed to cut through electricity and it was no big deal?
Right.
That's true.
Yeah, and taking a metal crowbar and prying this out, and I didn't get shocked. There was no sparks, no nothing, and the breaker didn't. The breaker didn't.
Gordon Freeman over here.
Yeah, exactly. So that was my.
Were you wearing rubber?
Um.
Not that. Not that kind.
He does every year when his wife gives him a treat. He wears rubber.
No. I was wearing rubber gloves. Actually, yes, I had. Strangely enough, I had changed from my cloth gloves to rubber gloves because since it is a wet saw, it gets the dirt very muddy. So it was in order to pick up these bricks out of the mud, it made more sense to use these rubber work gloves that I had. So, that may have been part of it. But at that point, actually, Ron, my buddy, was the one that was doing the cutting with the saw. I was using a crowbar to pry this out. But anyway. I don't want to dwell on that too much, but if I seem a little freaked out, I'm still kind of freaked out. I am.
Are you wondering when your electricity powers will come?
Yeah. Spider-Man 2.
I was going to say Cole McGrath action going on here.
Oh, dude, there you go, man.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to go play Infamous again now.
Oh, so good. It's very good.
The game is so good.
It is.
Can we get a remake of that?
I know, right?
Like, just touch it up. Don't even need to redo it.
Just make it playable on
Yeah.
PS4 or 5. That'd be great.
That too. So, well, I don't want to. Like I said, I'm sorry for my little rabbit trail, but it is clearly on my mind. I want to move on ahead for real quick. I want to remind everybody about R2V2, October 12th, 13th. Mark your calendars. Also, our Extra Life event on Saturday, July 27th at Tilted 10 in Rockford. Looking forward to meeting up with some people there. Alyssa, what games have you been catching up on?
Well, I believe Zack and I have played something similar. Well, not something similar, the same thing. The Alan Wake 2 DLC, Night Springs.
Uh-huh.
Space Invader.
Have you played all of it?
Human suit. Yeah, I did. I finished because I was doing it weekly. So yeah. I'm done now.
I did
hear
it nightly.
Nothing but positive things about this.
I really enjoyed it. But I think my favorite was the Rose segment.
Oh, yeah.
Is she the one that's like obsessed with the writer?
Yeah,
and is, like, basically fighting off the haters.
Yes.
As any fangirl wants to do, she wants to put the haters in the ground.
Yeah.
I loved how like everything was just rose tinted. The sky was pink.
Yeah.
Because her name is Rose. That's clever.
What they did there.
Yeah.
I think the third episode was my favorite.
Yeah, it was very original.
And it was like a real, because I said these are like what if scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're lying. I think these do count in the Remedyverse because there's some interesting insight. The episode 3 stars who in the trailer Tim Breaker, right?
Yeah.
Is who we see that you play as, and
is that the cop?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
The Time Breaker. And this DLC I think makes it's not so subtly a epilogue to Quantum Break.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. So it is clear he is that same guy from Quantum Break.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
They explain they kind of explain how the Remedy multiverse works. And again, they said this is what if, but I don't think so.
Yeah, it feels like it fits right in.
Yeah, I think these DLCs do count to the canon after. That's my belief. I don't want to say anything. But yeah. It's good stuff.
I have a question because I've been tempted to go and play that. I just have so much to play, so I might have to wait. But I hear that these DLCs are not like super combat heavy. Like it's more like the experience and and like experiencing the story and solving some puzzles and things like that. There's not a ton of combat. I guess the original game didn't have a ton either.
I would say the Roses has a ton of combat.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I would say hers is the most combat heavy.
Right, and then the second one is kind of a horror, focuses more on the horror of Alan Wake 2, and then the third episode focuses on the remedy weirdness.
Mm-hmm.
Just goes full whole hog into craziness.
Are there any like ashtray maze sequences or musical sequences, like or anything that reaches those levels of crazy?
Nothing of that caliber, but certainly a lot of unexpectedness.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Especially the third one.
Yes. I did not expect what happened. Well, not what happened, but like what they did with the third one to play out the way it did. I'm trying to be vague.
I feel like it explores the video game format in many ways as a tease.
Yes.
Oh man, I have to play it.
Yes.
That's
And
like a pretty good tease.
Each one's only about 45 minutes to an hour long ish.
TV length.
Yeah. So you can get
really
through.
short.
Yeah, you can get through all 3 episodes. 3 hours or so.
And don't you get like, if you buy that, don't you get like their next DLC included with the $20 or whatever that you pay?
I believe so. Yeah.
That is correct, because I think you have to do the digital deluxe upgrade.
You do.
Right, it's how you get the season pass, and the next one's supposed to be a more traditional like Alan Wake 2 experience.
Ah, okay. All right, what else, Alyssa?
I've also been playing Senua Saga Hellblade 2, which is way too long of a title. I think I'm almost finished with it. Zack would probably know, without spoiling too much. I've just defeated the second, not really boss, but...
Yeah, you're close. I would say you're
okay.
like 75, 80% done.
Okay. I've just been playing a little bit per night, because it is a lot to take in, just with the story, and I've been wearing headphones, so I have the voices, yeah. Which I love that. Like, I was wondering if it would affect me, because I do have sensory issues sometimes, but I actually really love it. It makes me feel more immersed in the game. It makes it feel more realistic in a way. So
also,
no issues.
Just like in the first one, there's just something like you ever hear audio where like it kind of goes from left to right?
Yes.
And it just gives this like brain cleansing thing almost.
I love 8D audio. Like it feels like my brain's being flossed.
That's a good way to say it. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Like it's so soothing. Some people hate it. Like it makes them feel terrible, but for me, it's a very soothing thing. So it's actually pretty soothing to like hear the voices in my head, which is not something I thought I would ever say.
I was getting like ASMR tingles during Hellblade 2. Yeah.
But I know some people have said it's too overwhelming with the voices, so I guess just play with the headset, see if it bothers you. If it does, take the headset off.
There you go.
It is interesting, Alyssa, that I also found it hard to play Hellblade 2 for long stretches, but I don't remember having that problem with the first one.
I don't either, to be honest. I'm like, did I do this with the first one? Because I can only take about an hour and I need to stop.
Well, aren't the voices like super mean to you? Like, she's not going to do it. She's going to fail.
Not in this one.
No,
really?
They're more scared and nervous in this one, I would say.
Right.
They're trying to protect her.
I don't know. Yeah, I was wondering. I was like, does this 6-hour game maybe have bad pacing, so you just like feel like you want to take a break? I'm not really sure. Something to evaluate.
It felt like it was going to end, like after that second one, and it's like, oh no, the final. I'm like, oh, okay, it's gonna go more.
Just a little bit more. You're almost there.
I
still feel like I'm in the camp of people like I just don't need to play this game.
I mean, if you feel like you don't need to play it, you don't need to play it, because like Zack said previously, if you were a fan of the first game, you'll probably like this one. If you didn't like the first game, you're not gonna like this one. So I would say just skip it if you don't feel like playing it.
It felt like aggressively average to me, the first one.
5.5, huh?
It's just like it was a game I enjoyed more in concept than I did in execution. I mean, the audio and visual stuff was amazing. It just wasn't fun to play.
It's same here,
Right.
and combat's pretty similar. Like I've only died once, and that was because I was being stupid. It was my fault.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have died if I, had thought, better.
Mhm.
I do get tired of the combat though, because it's just the same thing over and over again, and the battles last for it feels like quite a while. It's probably only a few minutes, but I don't know if you felt that way, Zach, about the combat.
I like the combat because I like the experiential nature of it. Like it felt like you were fighting this ragged, long battle, and the way Senua's like screaming, like she's, I don't know, kind of fighting for her life in every encounter. I liked all that, but like the combat itself is definitely like one note and kind of boring.
Oh yeah, it's just mainly parry, and then you have a tool. You hit a button, and then that lets you slash away.
It does have a win button. The tool you refer to. Yeah. Also, I feel like I never figured out how the parry worked.
I just keep pushing the right bumper.
I was gonna say, it's just a little unusual for me, but I just
it felt so
me. It felt so inconsistent in this game.
Well, I'm gonna really be terrible at it then if you're struggling with
this guy. Don't play it. You didn't like if you thought the first one was aggressively average, I think this is like the first game, but not as good.
It's just I'm more intrigued by just what the game looks like. I just hear it's visually stunning.
It is gorgeous to look at, but I agree with Zach that this first game was more interesting story-wise. I feel like the pacing was better in the first one because I kept wanting to play it. This one I'm having to take breaks, and I will say though I am bad at parrying, but I do it. I'm somehow pulling it off in this game. Again, I don't know how. Like,
also, maybe that's it. Maybe if you're used to parrying in other games, you're bad at it in Hellblade.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
Interesting.
Or maybe it's just,
it's pretty much when I see the person raise their weapon, I hit the right bumper, and that's it.
So maybe I have From Software brain rot. It's just affecting my parrying in other games.
Maybe.
And then the annoying, they're not really light puzzles, but shape puzzles.
The perspective puzzles?
Yeah.
They're there. I'm not a fan of those. So
it's like it feels like a good idea for one puzzle in a game.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not like the entire game.
It is funny that like that was a universal complaint of the first game. They're like, but what if we just kept doing it?
Yeah. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on. Zach, what have you been catching up on?
Yeah, so after playing the first Little Nightmares, I had no choice but to play Little Nightmares 2.
I'm going to have to play this game.
I really need to as well. I haven't played any of them.
I think I prefer the second one to the first one.
Okay.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
And I thought the first one was something special. But this one was so good, I played it twice back to back so I could get the platinum.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
It's still that kind of 3D space, puzzle platforming sort of thing. And it's just more of that, but it's great. And because you're going through a city in the sequel.
Mm-hmm.
So it lends you to going through a bunch of different environments that kind of scare kids, like school or a hospital.
Oh, yeah.
So it can kind of play into childhood fears a little bit more even. And I think the ending is ballsy and great.
Yeah, I'm going to have to add this to my list. I think I own the first one somewhere.
Didn't you? I thought you said you had played it.
I had, so I don't remember
I've
where.
I've got the first one, I think, on physical. I know I have the collector's edition because I'm looking at it right now. You can't, but
Is there like a little figure of 6?
Yeah, but I'm like, does the game come in that? Because I can't see the game.
I assume so.
I have to imagine I got it on Xbox. I need a Just Watch app for video games. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with Just Watch. Like, if you
I use it all the time. Well, through Letterboxd. I have a Letterboxd account, everyone. Cinephile.
Are you familiar with Just Watch, Zach?
No, I am not.
It's an app it's a free app on your phone, and if you want to watch a movie, you punch in which services you have subscribed to, like Netflix, Hulu.
Oh, you don't even have
Amazon.
to do that.
Well, I don't have Letterboxd, so.
Well, I meant like even if you just go to the web browser and go to justwatch.com, you can type any movie or TV show in, and you click on it, and it tells you everywhere it's streaming.
Yeah, but I mean, if you have it where you actually say which
personalized,
ones you have, then it'll be like, it's not on anything that you have currently, but it'll say, it's on HBO or it's on Netflix, and then you go, okay, I use it all the time, and I get depressed that the movie I felt like watching is not anywhere. So I just watch something else. But anyway, I need a video game version of that so I can be like, I got that on PS5.
I always just Google name of movie streaming in it, and it tells me this information.
Yeah, I guess you could Google it as well.
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway,
what else?
Great. The past several months, I have been peppering away slowly at replaying the first Red Dead Redemption, and not much to say other than it is amazing. I did beat it, and
Nice.
I decided to 100% it just for kicks.
Cool.
You know?
Even though you already have before?
Yes, I have. This is like my fourth time 100%ing Red Dead Redemption, but
That's
well,
insane.
this is a new trophy list, you see. So I've done it
Oh.
on 360 and PS3. You know, I had to do it on PS4. I can't just leave the achievement not locked.
Okay.
That was bad.
Fair enough.
So that was fun. And then Scott, I know you can talk with me a little bit on this because
Yeah.
Metroid Zero Mission hit Nintendo Switch Online,
Uh-huh.
and I couldn't help but play through it because
Neither could I.
you texted me your completion time, so I was like, well, now I have to beat Metroid Zero Mission.
And have to make sure that I do it faster than Scott does.
Well, that's
you
not
achieve it?
true. I did get 10 minutes faster. That's not true. and 1% more items for whatever.
Oh,
that
1%
counts.
more items.
Yeah.
yeah.
No. So that means we're pretty much in sync then, Scott.
Yeah, it's like really close. You'd
Yeah.
be hard pressed to get much closer than that. Like
Yeah.
like without like actually trying.
So that was, but this game is great. This is
it's one of the best Metroid games. It's just it's like
yeah.
it's a decently sized world, but it's so manageable. And I mean, I've played it so many times, so it was 3 hours to get through this
Right.
game.
Yes,
But
well, for some
it's
people,
so
some people it was 2 hours. But I understand. All right, sir. I had to get one joke in there.
I actually replayed through that I think last summer because remember I found like an old GBA at a garage
Oh,
sale.
that's
and
right.
I
Yeah,
actually,
you just
Mhm.
casually play through the game. Yeah, I remember that.
yeah. I was like, I just wanted to do that. But that game is like they add that bonus thing at the end where like after you beat the game,
It's the best part of the game.
it's so good.
I love it.
It's really good. But
That's-
yeah,
dude, that game rules. If anybody out there has a Nintendo Switch Online, absolutely play Metroid Zero Mission. I want to say it's my favorite Metroid. That seems true for me.
it's hard to top Super Metroid for me, but this
Oh,
one's
I understand.
close.
Well, I think our age difference makes it such that when I was the age you were probably
Yeah.
playing Super Metroid, I was probably playing Metroid Zero Mission.
Yeah.
Would it be accessible for someone that's never played Metroid?
Yes.
I don't know, but you've got Nintendo Switch Online. Why don't you try it and let us know? Because
Yeah,
I'd be really
I
curious.
should. I should.
Well, I think it has a lot less of the BS-ery that like Metroid Fusion has, where in
Yeah.
order to progress, you have to set the bomb a random wall with no hint that you need to at all.
Okay.
This game at least usually has like a tiny crack in the wall or something.
Plus, if you've never played the Metroid games at all, this is technically the first Metroid.
Oh, okay.
It's a remake of the original Metroid with something that they added at the end. So
Oh, that's cool.
it'd be like you playing Metroid 1.
And if you want to really know how poorly the first game plays compared to Zero Mission, you unlock the first game afterwards.
And I dare you to go try that because that game does not hold up well. Especially like after you played through Zero Mission.
Well, I was gonna say that's
it's
the
like,
real
here's
problem.
your reward.
I think the thing that I dislike the most about the original Metroid is when you get an item, it doesn't tell you what you get.
Oh.
Yeah.
You see, you like pick up the Powerball, and it just like it doesn't alert you or tell you what it does. Nothing. You're just like, all
It
right.
says Maru Manu or whatever it's called, and then you just got to figure it out.
Yeah, you're like, all right, good luck, kid.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's like in the original, there's a suit that you get that allows you. It's called the Varia suit, and it allows you to be into the zone that is hot. You
Right.
can't, if you go into this area, it drains your energy as soon as you walk into it. So you need this Varia suit, and you don't know that in the original game. You just walk into Norfair, and you're like, I'm immediately going to go back out, and you eventually find this Varia suit, and all it says is Varia suit. It doesn't
Right.
tell you what it does. It doesn't tell you that, okay, now you can go in lava areas. You just have to like randomly like explore. I mean, there's something kind of cool about that.
Mhm.
Like from a, make you think and make you experiment kind of
Sure.
thing. But I think it was more of a limitation of the hardware at the time than it was a, let's make this really interesting for everybody.
Yes. Well, they don't even hint cleverly. It's just, I guess I would have go into this room that killed me before. Oh, I guess I
Yep.
survived now. All right.
Yep, exactly. Anyway, what else, Zach?
And the last thing I tried out this week was Hunt Showdown. This is a multiplayer shooter set in the Louisiana Bayou in 1888.
I played this one at E3 actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of an intense game.
It is, but you have to work together. Like it is
Right.
necessary. Were you playing with somebody?
I mean, I was playing with randos, yeah.
Oh,
I mean, how the team structure works is interesting because it doesn't really tell you what the other teams are, but the other teams can be made up of 1, 2, or 3 people.
mm-hmm.
It's just kind of like no matter but the number gets to 12 people on a map basically. And then you have and then the crux of the game is you're playing as these like supernatural hunters who, I don't know, they've communed with the devil. I don't know. They can see supernatural stuff with this dark sight. And you use it to track down clues to find these monsters like a giant spider or this weird, pig man with a flaming arm. And but it's all very intense because, take damage very quickly. The reloads are slow as hell. When you reload, you have to when you reload a revolver, you're taking out the casing one by one, putting in a new bullet. It just takes forever. So
you love that though.
No, it was great. Yeah, it was good stuff. And but it makes the boss fights really hard. And as playing as a new player, I'm just constantly anxious that I'm ruining it for other people.
Yeah,
I get that feeling too.
Especially in this game, because if your characters die, they die forever. Right?
Oh, okay.
You lose all your level ups, you lose all your items that were on them. So when I go down or something, I'm like, well, I just ruined this guy's day. If
that feeling you have, Zach, as a brand new player. Now picture you're an experienced player and you've been playing. You're pretty decent at the game. I still have that feeling when I'm playing co-op with somebody.
Yeah,
I mean, if I play any multiplayer game, I have that feeling like, oh no, I just let everyone down.
Yeah, I do pretty much feel that way in multiplayer games.
Yeah.
But it's doubly so here because you've just cost them. If they're in there with like a level 40 max out character and they're trying to resurrect you and I have no way to tell you dude, I'm not worth it. I promise you I'm not worth it. Just let me die. But there's no way to tell them that.
Never leave a man behind.
Right. And they try to resurrect you and they just get killed. I'm like, that was you wasted your life on me. Yeah. You understand how meaningless I am? But I do love the loop of it. It's just it's not a game I don't I can't play back-to-back matches because it's so stressful. Yeah. But I want to get better at it because you're hunting the monsters and you have to take part of their corpse away, but then while you're holding it, everybody else can see you, so you're just trying to do this mad sprint to the exit.
Well, yeah, when you're even before that, when you start to do the banishing thing,
yeah,
the entire map is alerted that somebody is banishing something and it's in this direction.
Right. Yeah, and you can just look on your map and see where the banishing is happening, and then
yeah,
then you have to do the strategy of no doubt the building is surrounded whenever you're doing the banishing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's do I just sprint and hope for the best, or do I try to eliminate these people? Or, the match I was playing last night, we were trying to hole in on these people and snipe them from outside. Well, all that really meant was another team snuck up from behind and, murdered you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just it's so hard to cover all the exits, but that's what makes it fun, right? Is the intensity of it. But it's just so intense, man. But I'm gonna keep
great concept for a game.
Yeah. That's what I was, trying to articulate in my brain is this is such a sophisticated rule set for a multiplayer game.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's all kinds of other extraction shooters, but this one feels something unique.
Yeah, when I think it's just kind of hard to describe until you play it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I underestimated what a value sound has.
Oh yeah,
right. Because there's chains hanging from the ceiling, or there'll be glass broken, or there might be a sleeping horse, and if you go too close to it, it might start freaking out. There's just so many things to consider, and every time one of those things goes off, you just have something shoots up your spine because you're aware that everybody now knows that you're near that horse or whatever.
Yep. Yeah.
It's pretty intense. I want to keep plugging away at it. Maybe a couple games a week or something like that until I get good, if I ever get good. Thankfully, they don't take your characters away until you reach level 10 as kind of a, so you don't have to feel terrible about everything.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And so if you do die after that, do you just go back to level 10 or do you start back at level 1?
Well, I think your player level consists, so you have an overall player level and then you have a character level.
Uh-huh.
So when you hit player level 10, your characters start dying off, basically.
Gotcha.
So right now my characters are protected. But yeah, I don't know how that works because some of them are DLC characters you pay money for. How does that work? Do you still just lose those characters forever?
Boy, that would be really crappy.
Yeah, that would.
Or maybe it
just buy it again.
We'll say maybe it unlocks them in the store so you can buy them with the fake game money or something like that. I should probably look into this.
Yeah, probably.
Some of those characters look cool, but also it's just I don't know why anybody would pay $10 just so you could have a guy with a cool, skull mask on.
I mean, look at Fortnite, man.
Touche. No, you're right. Absolutely.
Very true.
Yeah, I'm sure. You're right. I'm sure if I get into it enough, I'll be like, oh, yeah, that guy looks cool. I guess I could toss him a quick $10.
Yeah.
Because you can
buy like Jim Gaffigan right there. Oh, I'm here. I might as well eat something.
I love Jim Gaffigan.
Oh, wow. Feels like a Anyway, Scott, you've been playing a bunch of games too.
I have a list, and I will try to go through them quickly. But I have been playing some games for me.
Yay!
You mentioned Metroid Zero Mission. I genuinely loved that I played that, and then you immediately went and played it, and then like I just love that dialogue we had about that, dude. It's like when you and I love a game like that, and we have a mutual respect for it and for each other. That's kind of like why we do this whole podcast.
That's a little like some of that playground energy.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
So I took advantage of a pricing error on GameStop this week. I realized I have never played The Legend of Zelda: Age of Calamity, which, if you're not familiar with it, is the second Hyrule Warriors, basically, like the Dynasty Warriors, but with the Zelda coat of paint.
Oh yeah. And
GameStop for about 4 minutes had a pricing error where they had the entire game and all of its DLC on sale for $15. And I got in and I was able to get it. So I played that for a little bit. I think I actually own it, a physical copy of it, but it's sealed. It's not gonna. So
Yeah.
So I jumped on this.
Why play the Zelda games you own when you could just stare at them on the shelf?
Well, because clearly I made a good choice because I got the digital one for $15 and I got it still sealed.
That's true.
So, I'm stuck in a weird spot with this game. Hyrule Warriors was fun to me, but it was very repetitive. It was a lot of the same thing. There was not a lot to mix it up. And then Age of Calamity allows you to switch between Link and Zelda and Sheik and all these other characters, and each of them have their complete different moveset. And I feel like a hypocrite. I'm like, can't we just have just the one character and I'm just doing the same thing over and over again? Because that's what you do in a Dynasty Warriors game, right? You just kind of get these different movesets, and there's just so many different moves and ways to use each character. And I lost interest after about a couple hours. I mean, it's Zelda, but it's not Zelda.
Right.
It's Dynasty Warriors, and so I had some fun with it. I got my $15 out of it. We'll probably never touch that DLC, but
it's Dynasty Warriors dressed up in a way to trick Zelda fans into buying it.
And it worked
yeah.
twice.
Right. Twice.
So I played that, and also when I had the guys over here to help me tear out my deck, we were looking for something multiplayer to play, and Dominic is Christina's son, by the way. Christina used to produce the show, and he's like, "Well, let's play some Human Fall Flat." And I have never played this game before.
I've played it, yeah.
You have, Zach? Have you played Human Fall Flat?
No, I'm aware of it.
You're aware of what it is?
Right, yeah.
Okay. It's boy, this is an interesting game. It is like Portal without the portals. That's it.
Yeah.
And in third person. So but the interesting thing about this game is that it's very physics based. Like your character is like ragdoll physics, and your
it's so
sticks,
difficult to do anything.
It reminds me of playing. Remember like QWOP?
Yeah.
On PC back in the day, where like you had like four, like the KW or whatever.
KWOP, yeah.
It was like different limbs.
Or whatever. Trying to make the guy run.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about that is that you don't need two players to solve these puzzles. So when you go play multiplayer, it's just like you're not really working together. You're just both going through the puzzle together and figuring it out, I guess. But it's a very interesting game that I will never play again.
I think it appeals to the YouTube youth.
You think so? Is that what it is? Because there's some very funny moments, like in terms of like falling. Why? That's
or like
why it's called
the
that,
streaming youth.
Yeah, if you're playing it with other people, it's funny, but I can see it, after a while getting very derivative.
And apparently there's just like tons of puzzles. Like I barely scratched the surface, and we played for like 2 hours. And there's so many levels. But I have already uninstalled it. It was a nice novelty, but I don't think I'm going to go back to it again.
Is it on Game Pass or?
It is.
Okay, I was thinking it was.
Because I didn't buy it, and I know I didn't buy it before. So, I also, speaking of Game Pass, decided to download the 2016 version of Doom.
Hell yeah!
Because I've never finished it, and that new trailer for Doom, the medieval one, I can't remember what it's called already.
Dark Ages.
Is that what it's called? Doom the Dark Age.
Doom the Dark Ages or Doom the Dark Age. Yeah, now I can't remember the title.
We are great.
Video game podcast.
We're so professional.
I think it's the Dark Age.
It's
but
along those
I had
lines.
the itch to play this, and I jumped back in here, and I have forgotten how quick that game is. It is just like I'm used to first-person shooters where you're hiding around corners and waiting for moments, and no, you just are full speed ahead all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And it is awesome. So I didn't get super far. I just kind of want to get a feel for it, and so I did. Had some fun.
Do you think you're going to continue playing it, or do you think you got your taste?
If I can get some time, I know I'm on summer break, and you'd think Scott's just going to sit and do nothing but play games, and I have played a lot, obviously.
Scott, every year since I've known you, you've talked about how summer break you're going to play games, and every summer break you play about 2 games somehow.
Well, this year I was like planning on it. Like, I'm not doing anything. I don't want to, outside of R2V2 planning, I'm not doing anything. And here I am building a deck. So, and that's apparently not going to be done until the end of July. I just learned. So anyway, the next game I played is one that was recommended to me a while ago, and I didn't pick it up, but it was on sale this week. So I paid like $11 or $12 for this game. I do not like the name of this game. I think it's a terrible name for a game. It is Dwarf Romantic.
Oh yeah, I've heard of this game. Yeah, I don't know if that means anything.
It must, because it doesn't tell you anything about what this game is. But have either of you played the board game, or even on Xbox, played Carcassonne?
Oh yeah,
I have not, but I've seen videos of it.
Okay, if you're familiar with Carcassonne, which is a tile placing game where you're connecting settlements and rivers and roads and things like that.
One of the few board games that is better as a video game, because you don't have to do the math at the end.
Exactly. It's so nice to play it on Xbox. And if anybody wants to play, I still whip that out and play it once in a while. It's a great game. Anyway, Dwarf Romantic is basically the solitaire version of Carcassonne with lots more options to it. So instead of playing against somebody, you are just basically racking up points by connecting towns and connecting forests and everything. It's all that hexagon style tile placement, and you have a stack of tiles, like 100 tiles that you're going through, and you just place them wherever you want to. And if you strategically make things, you have certain conditions that you have to meet, like this area over here needs houses, this area over here needs fields. You meet those conditions and you earn points, and you meet other conditions that actually will add more tiles to your deck to make your gameplay longer. So it's like how long can I go and how many more points can I get? So that's where like the solitaire aspect comes in. But man, this game, I know I just talked like 2 weeks ago about how if I see something say it's a cozy game, I just immediately turned off. So I'm not going to use that word to describe this, but it's a very zen-like relaxing experience that is super satisfying just to place you know how it is in Carcassonne. You place those tiles and you see the little building go and the little fanfare happens when, doo-doo-doo, or whatever.
We have a new genre name now. ZLRE, Zen-like relaxing experience.
There you go. That just rolls right off the tongue.
Way easier than cozy games.
Yeah. So, Dwarf Romantic, I didn't play a ton of it, but I am definitely going back to that game. It is just very relaxing and very satisfying. So
I feel like it must mean something elsewhere, because in English this is nonsense.
I'm gonna have to look that up, because now I'm curious.
I hear Dwarf, and I think Dwarf does golf. I don't know if you remember those movies from like the 90s.
I do not.
Dwarf was it was like these videos where this stupid guy named Dwarf would do. It was like Ernest, only British. Like, right. I don't know. Anyway, the thing that has taken the most amount of time this week is Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. I put a lot of progress in that. If you remember that, you haven't played it, Zack, but I want to make sure I have it finished before I come visit you, so I can let you play it. There are, just like in Mario RPG, there are 7 stars that you have to collect, and I have gotten 5 of them. So I'm making good progress in that game. And that
is
game
is it a long game, or
this one is? It says 30 hours.
Oh, okay,
but that's if you're not doing. If you're just mainlining it. There is so much side stuff to do. Zack, you are going to love this game.
Oh.
For the reasons that frustrate me, because I love the Paper Mario aspect of it, like the battles and leveling up and just the clever paper things that they do. But in between doing these star things, there's all these extra things you have to do in between that take a lot of dialogue, and there's a lot of characterization, and I appreciate that. I think the writing is very solid and genuinely laugh out loud funny in some cases. But I just want to get on with the game sometimes. There's one moment, because I don't want to ruin it for you, because some of the experiences there's this one moment where you play as a different character, and you're in this laboratory and you have to mix a concoction. That's all I'm gonna say. You have all these chemicals you have to mix, and there's a computer giving you instructions on how to do that. And one of the things you have to do is to set the thing in a heating, like a convention oven, basically, and literally heat it for 30 seconds exactly. But there's no timer in the game. You just have to, like, I literally pulled out my phone and set a timer for 30 seconds and did that in order to do that. But the game doesn't, like, when it says, do it for 30 seconds, you think it's going to be, there's going to be a clock, or I'm going to have, like, I started the first couple times I did it, I was counting the beats of the music, thinking that each one of those was a second, and that didn't work. And it just seemed like a weird, obtuse thing for a Mario game to do, to have you, pull out a stopwatch.
Yeah, it's very weird.
But then there's like a mission board in your main hub world of like a bulletin board of things to do to help everybody around the city. And this is why I think you're going to like it, Zack, because there's just like, I lost my key. Can you find my key and bring it back to me? And then you do, and they give you some kind of reward. And then Luigi. Did I tell you about Luigi?
Because he shows up, right, and just like fills you in on what he's been up to.
Right, but he's like on his own adventure. He's like doing his own, like, super Luigi adventure. And and every time you get one of the stars and you come back, he's in a different location with a new companion. And he just like, hey, you got a minute to listen to my story? He goes on this crazy story of what he's been doing, and it's and he and Luigi says, instead of calling him Mario, he calls him bro. He's like, you're not gonna believe this, bro.
That's awesome. I love it.
And it's just, I genuinely look forward to see what his story is gonna be. I was in a kart race, and and just like it reminds me of that guy in Ant-Man that is always telling the stories. I can't remember the gentleman's name. Michael Pena. Michael Pena.
Okay, I don't remember the character's name.
Yeah, I don't remember the character name now.
And that movie came out after this, so it's not like they ripped off Ant-Man or anything. But that's what it reminds me of. Is that? So I got one more game that I've been catching up on. Go ahead.
I wanted to let you know I looked up what dwarf romantic means.
Okay.
It is an old German word that is used to describe the feeling of nostalgia you get when you long to be in the countryside.
Well, that makes sense.
So that is what it means. Anyone wondering?
Interesting. Okay. I think they'll be able to come up with a better name for American audiences. Because, I mean, if you see that name and a windmill, that's not going to make you want to buy that game. I don't know.
Countryside nostalgia. There we go.
Yes. Last thing I will tell you about I've been catching up on, because holy cow, I've been talking for a while, is Baldur's Gate 3. Are you ready for my...
Baldur's Gate. Can't wait. Tell us the story.
Story time.
All right. Here is the story this week. So, if you guys remember, boy, it's been like 2 or 3 weeks since I talked about this. I had come across our druid in our party that was trying to rescue a kid that was trapped in some alternate dimension, and he would go through this portal and asked us to defend this portal. And we basically had to do it for 5 turns. We were not able to do it, so we went off and did some other adventuring, leveled up, and we decided to come back and try this again. So I did this again, and this time it wasn't just Kevin and I, but Paul Hine also joined us. And we defended this gate, and it was a very, very close battle, but we pulled it off. After 5 turns, all the shadow creatures that we were fighting disappeared, and Halson comes out carrying this kid, and we're like, oh, thank God we got through that. But the bad news is the kid is not okay.
Oh, no.
He's alive, but he's not all there. And Halson, our druid, is explaining that this kid has basically split into 2 halves. And it's like his darker half is out somewhere, and we need to get that darker half and bring him back to reunite with this kid to make him whole again. Well, we have actually stumbled across that darker half before we did this mission. We'd come across this kid that was talking about finding his mom and dad, and we offered to help find his mom and dad and, never got around to it. So we are on the hunt to find this kid again, and we find him. If you remember a couple weeks ago, the guy I told you about that had all the nurses, and we asked the nurses to do the surgery on him.
Yeah, that was an awesome.
That was such an awesome. So that was in the House of Healing, and this kid was actually in the House of Healing. So we actually went back there, found the kid, and he's still talking about his mommy. It says mummy and daddy, and so we decided to search for them, and we wind up in a boss battle against this kid because we're trying to convince him to come back to his body, and he won't do it. He says he wants to stay here with mommy and daddy, and somehow we wound up in this fight. But we're not fighting directly on him. He's got this like bubble shield around him, and then these two shadow creatures appear. One is called Mummy, and one is called Daddy. And we basically had this showdown with his parents while he's watching from a bubble, and it was a really cool battle. I actually did some stuff with my my character that I hadn't done before. It was quite awesome. I got a new skill where I'm able to shoot fireballs.
Ooh.
So we find out that as we're taking down Mummy and Daddy, and there were some other ads as well, that every time we do any attack on them, it actually weakens this bubble. So after this long battle, they're defeated, the bubble bursts, and the kid is, it's just like that does the game thing where it doesn't let you actually attack children. You know what I mean? They don't want you to
Yeah.
So you as a school teacher could not murder a child?
Yes.
I
wasn't upset.
Don't you?
I wasn't upset by that.
Finally channel maybe some of that rage towards the school district?
Yeah. So we talked to the kid afterwards. He was obviously upset that we killed Mummy and Daddy, but we were able to convince him to come back to his other half, reunited him with that other half, and the kid was made whole again. So it wound up being a happy ending. So that was a pretty fun time. And man, playing that game with people is a blast. It's a little bit of a sit and wait for the other person to take their turn situation, especially if you're playing, with more than even with one other person. You're just waiting for one other person to do it, but that other person is controlling two characters. You're controlling two characters, so it's a lot of waiting. Because you can't, once you've done your turn and you've ended your turn, you can't do anything until it's your turn again. So, but it is so much fun to coordinate and plan these attacks and things together, and it's great. I did not get to play this past weekend because Kevin was not available. Kevin and Paul were both not available, so I'm not going to I'm going to have to wait another week to get my Baldur's Gate 3 fix, but it's been quite...
Oh, is that because they're both dads?
Well, I think one's on vacation and one had to go to church or something like that.
Trying to think of the timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I say this every week, but really got to play Baldur's Gate 3.
I'm really tempted, dude, after I finish my playthrough, like if you do decide to do it, to do what I'm doing, what Kevin's doing with me, do that with you.
Sherpa me along?
I mean, I don't know how much of a Sherpa I would be, but it would be fun to watch you experience things and see how you choose how to roll certain decision makings compared to how I did it.
I have to assume we would have some pretty different decisions.
Yes,
yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Except for maybe Karlach, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I didn't do any romancing at all.
Oh, no?
No. I've had an opportunity.
You didn't want to hook up with some person with your friend watching?
I didn't think about that aspect. I just never take romance options in games at all. Like I just really don't. So, but yeah, that is Baldur's Gate 3 for the week. Thank you, children, for listening to my story. Let's now go ahead and jump into the week's news. Before we get into the news, I need to talk to you guys once again about eWin Racing and their gaming products. If you remember me talking about them in the past, these guys make the best gaming chairs I've ever sat in. I'm literally sitting in one right now. Very comfortable. They're called eWin Racing because they used to design seats for racing vehicles. And so I obviously got to have those comfortable, and they just kind of translated that over into gaming. But the best thing about these things is they make them for all shapes and sizes. When I ordered mine, they asked for my dimensions, and they sent me one that fits me perfectly. These things are rated for up to 500 pounds, so even if you are a bigger stature than even me, they're going to have one that's going to hold you, and they are really, really great. They also produce gaming desks and floor mats, things like that, so anything you need for desks, chairs, They got you covered, and I've actually got a great deal for you. If you'd like to save some money on one of these, I can actually get you 25% off your first order if you use promo code TGO at the website ewinracing.com. Again, TGO for The Gaming Outsider. You will not be disappointed. We've got multiple people in our community that have bought these chairs, and they love them just as much as I do. So be sure to check them out. Again, ewinracing.com. As for new trailers, we did get a trailer for Lollipop Chainsaw Repop, which is the remaster of that game from the Xbox 360 PS3 era. And then A Quiet Place, The Road Ahead, based on the film, for sure. In news, we're a little behind. Some of this is old news because we missed last week, so we may gloss over some of this pretty quickly. But Ubisoft had their forward presentation last week. We had some heavy rumors about a new Turok game and Final Fantasy IX remake. I put that on there just because I thought Zack might actually let me talk about a rumor since it was Final Fantasy IX related. We got some new Shovel Knight games and content from Yacht Club Games. And then lastly, Nintendo had their June 2024 Direct. I have a feeling we're going to talk about that for sure, but I'm going to leave it up to Zack. Which one do you want to talk about, man?
Well, first of all, I can't wait to see Lollipop Chainsaw, and because it came out on PS3, but we have a different Sony now. I can't wait to see how censored it'll be on the PS5 version.
Oh, did you watch the trailer? It shows how it's censored.
It is censored?
Well, they did put a disclaimer saying you can play the uncensored version, but the censored version, when she chops up zombies, it shoots out hearts and glitter and rainbows. So you don't see blood. You see the girly stuff.
Who actually wants to play that way?
I'm more curious about how much of her butt we'll see, because as we know, PlayStation is anti-butt.
I mean, the original game had a trophy for staring at it for a certain amount of time. So,
in the grand tradition of Nier.
I had no idea that trophy existed.
Yeah, I'm sure you didn't get it because you didn't know it existed until you got it, right? Just through your casual playing.
But it was not legitimately. It was not because I was trying to look up her skirt. It was I was genuinely looking up, and all of a sudden she reaches back and tugs her skirt down to cover herself, and bing, achievement pop. I was like, oh man, thank good that my Kinect was not connected at that time.
I don't try to be one of these censorship people. It's just funny that PlayStation cares so much.
Did they put
and Nintendo doesn't?
Yeah.
Didn't
they put a lens flare over a butt in
Devil May Cry 5?
Devil May Cry 5? Yeah.
Childish behavior.
So weird. Anyway,
I mean, it's hard not to just want to talk about the Nintendo Direct, but you know what?
So good.
Since we're gonna get there inevitably, right?
Yeah.
So
go for it, man.
Let's talk about Yacht Club because I cannot wait for Mina the Hollower.
You seem to be in the minority. Nobody is talking about that. Everybody's talking about.
I no BS. Had a dream about playing Mina the Hollower, and then the next day we got this Yacht Club thing.
Wow.
Ooh.
So maybe it was because I knew Yacht Club was having a presentation coming up, but I had it wasn't a dream that I was in Mina. It was just a dream about playing it. I'm so excited. It just looks like a Game Boy Zelda game.
Could you please dream about Portal 3?
Yep.
Sure.
Please do.
And Hollow Knight Silk Song and Half-Life 3. Yeah, all these.
Where was Silk Song? Why is
what
that
are you
game?
talking? Let's do. It's just it'll come when it comes. People got to stop expecting it, or they're just never going to be happy.
Yeah,
dude. I'm so excited about Mina. I don't understand how this game had a Kickstarter. Kickstarter said it had a release date of December 2023.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not really totally sure what's taking so long to make this game, but I am confident it's going to be exceptional when it comes out. It looks fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
I'm excited as well. I'm more excited about the. I know this sounds like, oh yeah, of course Scott is. I'm excited about the remake of the original Shovel Knight because I love that game. It's been long enough that I would like to go play through it again, but earn new achievements and see all the new stuff they've added to it. That game is so good.
I was going to say, well, how different can they really make it?
It's more quality of life stuff. Like they are adding the rewind mechanic and stuff that is in some of those like Nintendo Switch Online when you play the classic games, you can rewind or have save states and things like that.
Boy, is that hard to resist using, huh?
It is. But I mean, if I'm being honest, that's how I beat Super Ghouls and Ghosts on Super Nintendo.
No, yeah, I don't think that's anything to be ashamed about or anything.
I mean, I made it all the way to the final boss without using that, to be fair.
No, but, I'm just saying, if they put the Castlevania games on, Nintendo Switch Online, I would absolutely be abusing the rewind state.
Yeah, especially that first one. Holy crap!
So I don't think it's anything to be ashamed of or anything.
But how about this new Shovel Knight that they kind of teased?
Not so subtly, where they're like bringing Shovel Knight into a new dimension of gaming.
I mean, it's clearly going into 3D, right? Like
yeah.
Even like the logo or the font, wasn't that like in 3D?
Yeah, I assume it'll be a retro, like a PS1 or N64 style platformer would be my guess. So I don't know. That sounds cool. I'm in. Why not? The only Shovel Knight I've ever played is King of Cards, so I've got a lot of Shovel Knight left to play in my life. But
oh man,
yeah,
I can't do that. That's so interesting because each game is incredibly mechanically different. Like each, like you're playing as like the different bosses or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They all are just completely different from one another, which is like it's so crazy how well they're able to just keep pumping those out. But man, the original feels so much like DuckTales or, I don't know, just really good.
Because I remember I picked up the Treasure Trove edition.
Yep,
and I thought it would be fun to play the games in reverse.
Should keep going, man.
I probably should, yeah. Because there's that one guy, was a Spectre Knight or something like that.
Yeah,
that guy looks awesome.
He is awesome.
Yeah, maybe I should boot those back up. They're not very long, right?
I mean, they're like a Mega Man game.
Yeah,
like where you got like 8 bosses and then there's like a final,
right. Only probably 3 hours each.
But they're longer than a Mega Man game though. Like they're good, but it's not going to take you more than like 4 or 5 hours. Right. I'm glad somebody else is excited about that because I love me some Shovel Knight game, and kudos for them for just like still going. Like it's
right.
Who would have thought?
Mm-hmm. I think kudos for them on their restraint. I feel like it would have been easy to pump out 17 Shovel Knights by now.
Yeah,
but instead they committed to doing the Kickstarter DLCs and they took him in a bunch of different genres. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
it is.
All right, Alyssa, what story would you like to talk about?
Talk about the heavy rumors of a new Turok and Final Fantasy IX remake.
We get to talk about rumors because Alyssa said it.
Yeah. The Turok game rumor comes from a leak on the Epic Games Store, and the game appears to be developed by Saber Interactive. Note that the last game in the series was in 2008. Now, the one I'm really looking forward to is Final Fantasy IX, if this is true. This leak also comes from Epic. The game is codenamed Momo, and they reference the Tetra Master Starter Pack and Thieves' Knives, both obviously from Final Fantasy IX.
I put that in there for Zack. Number one, he probably knows what those are because I haven't played Final Fantasy IX.
I haven't either.
But to give legitimacy to this rumor, which was a leak.
We'll say, yeah, it's more of a leak than a rumor. And also, this would be the second time Final Fantasy IX Remake got leaked because it was also in that NVIDIA leak from years ago.
Right.
So it seems pretty certain Final Fantasy IX is getting remade in some way. I assume it won't be like an FF7 kind of remake.
No, I would imagine this would be more like a, what was the Final Fantasy that they redid? Was it Final Fantasy 3? Like where they like just redid the graphics? Kind of like Link's Awakening style.
Right, that's what I'm imagining. It'll be like they'll modernize the art a little bit, and but it'll still be like that, set camera angles kind of video game style.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I imagine. So yeah, I'll probably play the hell out of that. But a new Turok game is a little more unexpected.
Why has it taken so long to get a Turok game? That franchise just seems like it writes itself in terms of coolness, right?
Right, especially you need a Horizon competitor. You need the other dinosaur shooter game.
Yeah,
that's true.
I'm excited about that possibility.
The last one was the Disney one, right? The 2008 one.
I don't remember. I just remember a cover that was all black and green.
Yeah, it was made by Touchstone Interactive, which is a division of Disney.
I never played it. Was it good?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. I need to pick that up.
Yeah, I think you would like it.
All right. Bold.
But yeah, let's play the new. I like how you're like, why is it taking so long for a new Turok? You skipped the last new Turok, so.
Well, I never. Yeah, I can't play everything, Zach.
In 2008, you could.
In 2008, you're probably right. I probably could have. Okay, let's get into it. I don't want to talk about Forward too much outside of. I will say that Star Wars Outlaws is looking more and more awesome to me. It looks like Star Wars Far Cry without lightsabers and Jedi. And I've heard that the game is supposed to be like a manageable 30 hours, which sounds crazy.
They've stressed that, which is nice.
Yeah, so I am really excited about that. Nothing much. Everything else from Ubisoft felt like things we already knew about.
Yeah.
Except for maybe Anno 177. So, yeah, I mean, everything was like, except for that was pre-existing properties or pre-existing announced games. So,
well, the Sands of Time teaser was weird. They re-announced a remake.
Well,
I mean, it's just it's unreal. When was the actual remake announced? Like 2021?
It's been.
I thought it was further than that. I thought it was pre-COVID.
Yeah, it's been several years.
So it's been several years, and now it's getting rebooted at a different Ubisoft team, and then why did they tease this for like a 2026 release? It's like you could have just kept not saying anything.
The reason they had to is because they had to let people know that it was in fact still in existence, because there was rumors last year about it just being shut down because of whatever stuff happened that we don't know. So I'm okay with that, and not giving a specific date and just saying a year, because I mean they kind of had to start over. It sounded like, and this was the game that made me tweet. I don't know if you saw you did see my tweet, Zach, because I think you liked it about. Gamers are like, why even put a release date on the trailer if you're just going to delay it? And then they put out a trailer that doesn't have a release date, and then they're like, well, you don't even have a date. It drives me crazy.
Can't make anyone happy.
Well, this one is only weird to me because it's like you could have accomplished what a press release would have accomplished,
right?
Or even or a quick tweet. It was just kind of weird.
I mean, it was like a 11-second trailer. So.
I just feel like if I was re-debuting the Sands of Time remake, I would do it by showing you what it looks like, showing you how we fixed it.
Yeah.
Good point.
But it is kind of the year of Prince of Persia, right? We got Prince of Persia Lost Crown DLC coming. Rogue Prince of Persia is out there in early access.
Dude, you got to be just like drinking this in right now.
Dude, after living in a desert for 14 years of Prince of Persia content, this feels good to be in the Oasis. And it's nice that Ubisoft isn't Ubisofting it up.
Yeah.
These games aren't like huge open world endeavors or anything. It's just what Prince of Persia needs to be.
Agreed. Okay. It's time. I can't believe you guys left me with Nintendo.
He says wearing a Zelda shirt.
I know. That's why I left it to you.
So it's funny. I was actually still working outside while this direct was going on, so I was not watching it live. I literally had it on my earbud, listening to it, and I had to listen to one where the IGN people were reacting to it, so I could understand what they were, they could describe what they were seeing. So the first time my experience doing this was me listening to it, and if I got a break, I'd get away and try to see or if something was announced, I had to go take a look and at least see what it looked like. But man, did they bring it with this or not? I was not expecting this high level of a direct from Nintendo, but I mean, they had to do something.
Yeah, I was not expecting a banger.
Yeah.
I thought this direct was awesome.
It was so good.
I can see how it's exciting. I never grew up with Nintendo, so it's not as thrilling for me, but
gotcha.
I get why other people are excited.
I mean, there's some exciting things in here that aren't Nintendo, but
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Did anything stand out to you, Alyssa? I know you're not a big Nintendo person, but did anything on this list make you go, I want to play that?
Fantasian. That was the one that was on Apple Arcade, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do want to play that. It is coming to Switch, but it's called Fantasian Neo Dimension.
Isn't that supposed to be like a really cool story in terms of like the developer split from Square Enix or something like that? And
you want me to get into it?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You know better than I do.
Well, this is Hironobu Sakaguchi, the creator of Final Fantasy. He left Square Enix after Final Fantasy IX was the last one he was creatively in charge of. And then he went and did Mistwalker. That's when they did Blue Dragon and Lost Odyssey and all that. And then they've done mobile games for many years, including Fantasian. And Fantasian, I did play on Apple Arcade. It was released in 2 parts. I played the first part. It was amazing. I loved it. It actually had a lot of Final Fantasy IX energy in terms of the tone and the story. the characters aren't quite as compelling, but it is kind of that vibe, as it were, kind of the fairy storybook setting thing. But then they released part 2 later, and it was supposed to be like 40 hours, part 2, and and part 1 was like 20-ish hours, right? It was supposed to be like the more substantial part. But I already kind of felt like I was suffering through playing it on mobile the first time. Like the whole time I'm playing, I'm like, I really wish I could play this on a real video game console. So I never played part 2, so this is incredibly exciting to me because it also has music by Nobuo Uematsu, and this is his last composition. So it's it's really the fathers of Final Fantasy. It's their last game together, and what I played of it was amazing. I'm very excited for this re-release. It has changed any of my fall plans. I was going to check out Metaphor ReFantazio, but no more because I'm going to be playing Fantasian Neo Dimension.
Nice.
I'm just so excited for this game, and anybody that liked the PS1 era Final Fantasy game should check this game out because it is absolutely a PS1 Final Fantasy game in all but name. So if you like 7, 8, or 9, this is right in that kind of video game.
Boy, that's a way to sell it, man.
It is. I think it absolutely. And the cool thing, or the really cool thing about the game, is that all of the backgrounds, like the towns and the dungeons and everything, were all built with real life dioramas, and then they took photos of them. So you're moving across like actual built out diorama terrain.
Wow.
And it's kind of a way to replicate that, like because those PS1 games had those pre-rendered backgrounds.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a new spin on a way to do that. But they look gorgeous to walk through. It's
really cool, man.
It's a really unique and compelling thing to play through. And yeah, so any JRPG fan, I think, should check out Fantasia Neo Dimension.
All right. Well, let's go back and forth, Zach. I'm going to start with you since it seems like you and I were the most hyped for this. What's the first thing that stood out to you?
Well, I mean, right at the top, right? Mario and Luigi Brothership.
Who saw this coming?
I couldn't have seen this coming from a mile away.
No. And when this started, I honestly thought it would have. I was like, oh, it's going to. I mean, I was excited. Like, it's just going to be a remake of one of the other ones, which wasn't a bad thing. It's a brand new game.
It's so exciting. And I love its cute little name, Brothership, because you're sailing the ocean as Mario and Luigi. These are of the 3 styles of Mario RPG, which is insane that there's 3 different styles, right? Because Super Mario RPG, Paper Mario, and Mario and Luigi. It's wild that Mario gets 3 genres of RPG.
And that they're all good.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah. But Mario and Luigi is my favorite of those bunches.
Mm-hmm.
So to get a new one is really exciting, especially because I didn't have a 3DS, so it's been I haven't played a Mario and Luigi game since the DS ones. So this is particular. It's been a long time for me, is what I'm saying.
Yes.
And I had to miss out because then they did one where it was like a crossover of Mario and Luigi and Paper Mario, right? On 3DS, and I think so, and I missed it.
It sounds familiar.
Man, I played this. I don't remember that at all. There's Bowser's Inside Story. There was
that was the
Partners
in Time.
Partners in Time. Just Mario and Luigi one.
I think it was like Paper Jam or something.
Paper Jam.
Either way.
I do remember that name.
There was Origami King.
Yeah, I know that one.
That one wasn't very good.
I'm pretty sure. Anyway, doesn't matter right now. Either way, it's been a long time since I played one of these, and I'm very, very excited. I can't wait.
I am with you. I am really getting an itch to go back and play those old ones. Like Bowser's Inside Story was so good.
Right. Yeah, I would love because Superstar Saga is on the Nintendo Switch Online. I should really replay that before I jumping into Brothership so I can remember the differences.
That's a really good idea. Forgot that one. So yeah, that was clearly we're both excited about that one.
Sorry, Alyssa, that you're just going to be quiet for the next.
You're welcome to hop in.
Well, I mean, I honestly watched it. Nothing really stood out to me. So
a slap in the face to both Mario and Luigi.
I'm sorry.
Well, I can't not talk about The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom.
You're jumping all the way to Zelda. All right, understood.
I'm just jumping to the one that stuck out to me the most because when this trailer started, I got super excited for a minute because it was like the Link's Awakening art style, the remake of Link's Awakening art style.
Right.
And I was like, oh my God, are they going to remake Link to the Past, my favorite Zelda game of all time, in that style? And I'm like, hell yes, this is going to be great. And I've never been so glad to be disappointed because that's not what it is. It's a brand new Zelda game where you play as Zelda. Like Link gets sucked into this vortex, and you play as Zelda for the entire game. And
I thought you played as Zelda in all of them.
Oh my god.
I'm kidding. Obviously, this one you play as Metroid, right?
Here's the crazy thing: is this thing is coming out in September. When is the last time they announced a brand new Zelda game and it comes out July, 3 months later?
That's true.
That's insane to me.
You're gonna be busy with this and Star Wars Outlaws at the same time.
Oh my goodness, September is going to be, and that's like R2V2 season. I don't know what I'm gonna do, man.
Yeah,
I really don't know what I'm gonna do. But if you had told me before this trailer that, hey, we're gonna have a Zelda game that's a top-down view, like the old school Zelda, but you're not gonna have a sword and shield, I would have gone, what? But after you see what this trailer does, where Zelda has what's it called, a tri-wand or something like that?
Oh boy, I don't know.
I think there's a little fairy named Tri, and she has a tri-staff or tri-wand that basically lets her copy any item in the game. A chair.
Is it a tri-rod?
Tri-rod sounds better, yes.
Tri-rod, yeah.
Tri-rod that lets you copy any item and use that to solve puzzles. You can even copy enemies and turn them into fight for you, and it just looks absolutely charming and adorable, and I cannot wait.
Yeah, I think I saw a video online once with Zelda and her tri-rod.
Oh my god.
Anyway, this game, it looks interesting. I feel like a party pooper, but as soon as she started like the echoes thing and started spawning stuff, I was kind of like checked out.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why. I just doesn't sound as, maybe it's because I'm still longing for another kind of traditional Zelda, another new traditional Zelda.
Yeah.
And I think the franchise has just moved past me.
I wish they would put Link Between Worlds on Switch.
That would be nice, yeah, because it was another 3DS game that I missed out on. Yeah.
That just looks like Link to the Past.
Right.
And they do I don't know if you have familiar you are with that game, they let you go in any direction you want to. So like, you know how Link to the Past, you go to Dungeon 1 and then Dungeon 2 and Dungeon 3. This one like puts all of the items that you need in like a shop in your hub world.
You can like rent them or something.
Yeah,
right?
you rent the special tool that you need in order to defeat that dungeon, and you just go pick whichever one you want to go. It's just like clever way
Sounds
to put
fun. I should have picked up a 3DS during those years, but alas, I did not.
And then of course they released they showed a new special edition, Hyrule edition Nintendo Switch Lite that now I have to buy.
I was going to ask when you were going to pre-order it, not if.
Yeah, as soon as it comes available. Like, I mean, there's no reason I would not.
No, I understand.
But that's one that I don't like the Lite anymore because I think the Lite is too small for me. I'm spoiled with the OLED. And I feel going back to the Lite would just I'd feel disappointed, but it's okay. It's gonna stay in the box anyway.
Yeah. What does it matter?
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
So yeah, I could go on and on and on about Zelda, but Zach, what else stuck out to you?
I'm excited to see Donkey Kong Country Returns, the only good 2D Donkey Kong game.
Wow, that is a bold statement. Have you played Tropical Freeze?
I have not played Tropical Freeze. Wasn't that a 3DS game?
No, that was a Switch game.
Oh.
Wasn't it also on Wii U? Or am I mistaken?
Oh, you're right. Oh, man.
They might have imported to Switch, you're right. No, I haven't played Tropical Freeze. Oh, that was just a small joke of I don't like the Super Nintendo Donkey Kong Country games that much.
I don't anymore. I went back and tried to play like these are not great games.
I mean, I remember not really liking them as a kid. I love the music. I remember that.
The music's great.
That was just cheeky. I know people love those games, and I'm happy for them. But I did really like Donkey Kong Country Returns for whatever reason on the Wii. So, yeah. I'm not going to... I probably won't pick up the HD version. It was fun to see it get acknowledged.
Yeah, I agree. It's probably one I won't do, but I'm glad it's there.
And I thought it was, speaking of things that I'll never play, I thought it was pretty baller of Square Enix to commit to remaking Dragon Quest 1 and 2 as well.
It was weird that they started with 3 and then just threw in 1 and 2 in there.
I guess it's chronological order of the trilogy.
Yeah, that's what was it the director said?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
And then I mean, they're doing the same thing with Metal Gear Solid, right? We're remaking 3.
Yeah, it's true.
I guess, I don't know. This is how they like to do it these days.
Oh, and see, now you're giving me hope that they're going to go back and redo 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Because if they make that look as good as Delta looks right now, holy cow!
I can see all the angry YouTuber reactions now when the end of the first Metal Gear Solid 1 just goes on like a 10-minute diatribe about how bad nukes are, and the second one goes on a 30-minute conversation about how the internet's going to ruin the world. It's gonna be good stuff. Isn't that wild that he called it in like 2002?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That it was going to separate us all into little factions and that information would be disposable and no one would care about the truth. I can't believe he in the day where like all you had online were like tips and tricks for video games. He was like, well, this is going to ruin everything on humanity.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's some crazy foresight, dude.
He watches a lot of The Simpsons. He's like,
that's true.
Oh, right. Because they predict the future a lot too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You already mentioned it a little bit because Metroid Zero Mission is now on Nintendo Switch Online, but they also added, it was one of those, like, it's going to be available later today, The Legend of Zelda 4 Swords. I don't know if you guys have played that, but that would be fun to go through and play together because now you can play it online.
That's that's great. What an amazing thing to add.
Yeah. It was just kind of like, oh, by the way, you can play it online. That's huge to me.
We've revolutionized how to play this game. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Because Alyssa, you may not be familiar with this game, but it was a GameCube game that if you hooked up, was it 4 GBA controllers or Game Boy Advances to the Switch, you could actually play this with 4 people. So,
which is a tall order.
I think you only needed 3, right? Because someone used a GameCube controller and then 3 Game Boy Advances. But it was like a Zelda game where you solved puzzles together and you went through the game together, and it was awesome, really cool. But like Zack mentioned, you had to have all this stuff. It was crazy to put all this together. Now we could all actually play it together on Nintendo Switch Online, and
dude, I would absolutely adore playing this game, Scott.
I
playing a Zelda game together. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, just gotta get our schedules better, man.
Yeah, I gotta change my work stuff.
But then also Perfect Dark and Turok are now available on N64, which is interesting because you can actually buy like remastered versions of Turok on other consoles and Switch. And now they're giving you the old version. They're not pulling it before they release the special edition.
That would be a scummy move. Oh yeah, we didn't even mention that in the Ubisoft Forward, right? They announced Beyond Good and Evil. Oh, because they announced that the limited run thing.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond Good and Evil 20th Anniversary Edition coming out on the 21st anniversary of the game.
They forgot how to count.
Yeah. But that is scummy, you're right, of Ubisoft.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, I took that one. You go ahead, Zach. What else?
Oh man, well, it was, as a PlayStation first gamer, it was pretty weird saying Horizon here.
Yeah.
Especially like seeing this is the actual trailer where you actually see the gameplay.
On a Nintendo Direct.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you see that little like PlayStation publishing thing in the corner, you're like, what the hell's going on? What an insane future we're in.
Do you want to play that though? I don't know.
No, actually, no. I don't.
Okay.
I don't want to play Horizon, let alone a Lego version of it.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of cool because it's a way to embrace the inherently outrageously silly concept of robot dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Because Horizon takes that stuff dead ass seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Which is fine. I appreciate a grim tone. It's just really, there's something in my brain where I'm like, you could probably crack a joke every now and again in the universe where there's a robot tall neck you're climbing. You can acknowledge that this is a little goofy.
Man, I forget that you didn't like those games that much.
Yeah, well, I didn't. I never played the second one, but the first one was boring as hell.
Wow, man, I could not stop playing that one.
But I beat it, so I can confidently say I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I saw the whole thing.
You usually finish games even if you don't like them. Elix.
Yeah. Well, Horizon was brutal. I feel like the last hour was just them talking at you for like an hour.
Yeah.
We were just like listening to audio recordings as they explain the world, and I'm like, I don't care about any of this.
Oh, dude, I was so into that. I was just like,
I was too, yeah.
I was just like listening to every word, just trying to figure out what was going on, understand it. I was down.
I did love whenever Lance Reddick showed up. Those were the highlights of the game for sure.
Oh man, what's his character's name again?
Silence.
Oh,
yeah,
what a cool character.
Yeah, he's great.
And the last big one, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Holy cow! This is the game that like we've been expecting them to announce at a direct for the past 5 years, and they finally released it. Wow. I mean, on one hand, it looks like every other Metroid Prime game, like to the T.
Yes, almost like surprisingly so, right?
Right. I mean, we did just play the remake of the original Metroid Prime, right. But then like that first time when she lands and you come out and there's like blasts and stuff going off in the distance, that it looks like a very good Switch game. I'm not saying it looks like an incredible, super high quality looking game, but it looked a lot better than any of the other Metroid Prime games.
I feel like it kind of looked like remastered, but either way, I mean, it's cool. I'll play it. Metroid Prime was good.
Yeah, I want to know what's going on. Apparently, that character that's got like 2 Metroids floating above his shoulders.
That was cool. He's got like Metroids trained.
Yeah, dude. I was like, what is that about? Apparently,
that's cool.
That game. That character is from like the 3DS Metroid game that I never played. Like Metroid,
the terrible one, the Federation Force one.
Yeah, apparently.
Who the hell cares about that character? What?
Well, now I mean, that's the thing. Is like,
he looked immediately cool, so I guess I do care about it.
Yeah, right?
That's just a weird thing to pull your lore from.
Just to have Metroid minions that was just like so freaking cool, man.
It'll be like the next Star Fox being like, well, I hope you played Star Fox Guard because there's essential lore we're pulling from there.
What was it? Was it Halo that did that? Halo.
Oh, yeah. Where it's like, or if you didn't play Halo Wars 2, they just gave you no context for the villain.
Yeah.
So
dumb. But I am. It's been a long time coming for that one, but that is a definite purchase for me. I will. Man, I love Metroid. So
may I ask you a question, Scott?
Sure.
Because as you know, I've never played the Prime games.
You played the first one, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I played the first one because it came to Switch. Yeah. I'm sorry. So I haven't played Prime 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
Should I just jump into 4, or should I hope and pray they're going to port 2 and 3 to Switch? Because I feel like they should. Right? They don't even need to remaster them. They could just port them.
So here's the thing: 2 was a GameCube game.
Right.
And it was solid. It was a little long in the tooth. I was ready for that game to be done well before I got to the final boss. But there is some lore stuff that they do in that I think is really cool. That actually makes some later Metroid games make a little more sense.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
I don't know if I want to say the character because I can't remember if it's a character that showed up in a Metroid game you played or not.
Are you talking about Dark Samus?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Yeah,
so that's the first time you see Dark Samus is in Echoes, is in Metroid Prime 2.
Well, first time is after the credits of Metroid Prime 1.
Well, yeah. So you get to see a little bit of that. Metroid Prime 3, I believe it's Corruption.
Correct.
Is an absolute joy to play on the Wii because they actually let you. That it is like the first game that made the motion controls freaking awesome.
Well, then, but then they ported 1 and 2 to Wii as well, right?
Yeah, you're right. But I think that version is like really expensive.
No, I know, but I'm saying like they're already ready to go to Switch. They should just port them over.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You know, they don't need to remaster them or anything. I just let people play Metroid Prime 2 and 3 before 4. Because it's weird. It's weird to set it up that I can play Metroid Prime 1, but I can't play 2 or 3 before the next one.
That's a really good point. I mean, this one they said 2026 at the end of this trailer. Was it 25?
Yeah.
So
because I assume it'll be a cross-gen game with Switch 1 and 2.
I would. I'm still really curious how that's all going to work. Like, is there going to be a Switch 1 version of the game and a Switch 2 version of the game? Or are they going to work on both?
Yeah,
like, would it be cool if Nintendo broke that and just said, you know, you can play it on your Switch or on your Switch 2?
Yeah, it'd be cool.
It would be.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Doesn't sound like a Nintendo move, but it would be cool.
There's a lot more stuff that they showed at this Direct. There's a lot more good stuff. Those are the big ones that stood out to me. Was there anything else big for you, Zach?
Just the 100 line Last Defense Academy I thought looked kind of interesting. Mm-hmm. You know, as the trailer started, I was like, this is like another Danganronpa game, and then it's from the creators of Danganronpa. So
yeah, I did get those vibes as well, and I did like the Danganronpa games, so that might be interesting to me.
Is that the one with like the murder at a school and a teddy bear?
Monokuma, yeah.
Yeah.
The bear, yeah.
I never played it, but I always heard that described, and I'm like, I want to check that out just to see if it's weird as it sounds.
It is weird,
yeah.
Alyssa, don't you shoot the truth with a bullet in that game?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's how that gets pretty weird.
Yeah. All right.
Like, that's the main mechanic, shooting the truth with a gun. But the idea, the I like the concept of you have to like last 100 days while protecting the school, and different narrative choices make different things happen. It just sounds really fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny that it's being published by a company Sony owns, but it's not coming to PlayStation. But whatever. It's a weird world we live in.
It is a weird world. Anything else, or can I go ahead and move on?
Well, it is. I think it is important to note that Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection got announced.
Yeah,
because that's a lot of games that have been dead for years because of licensing, and somebody did the work to get it all together, and then threw in a Punisher brawler game for fun as well.
Yeah,
but it's cool for historical context. I don't care about this at all.
Me either.
But I think it's worth noting just because of how important it is.
But that is a very popular fighting game amongst the fighting community, I feel like.
Right. I think Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is more popular than anything that followed.
Yeah. Yeah, good point. All right, before we move on to the new games we've been playing, I want to remind everybody about Patreon. If you'd like to help support the show, head over to patreon.com/thegocast. We do have a new patron by the name of Brandon Lapani. Welcome to the community. Actually, this is true. Brandon is not only new to... No, I'm sorry. That's going to be a Facebook person, so I have an interesting story to talk about somebody else. But Brandon, welcome to the community. I'm sure you have all sorts of interesting stories about you as well. Just not the one that I had on the tip of my tongue. We've got some new episodes coming up in the near future, including a trade-off episode with Kevin and I, a live music discussion with Kevin and and I got to get something else out. We're running out of time. I need to get 2 episodes out before the end of the month. But right now you can hear Zack and I break the seal on Lone Ranger and Sands of Time. That was a lot of fun. And our Desert Island Games episode with CB and Alyssa. There's actually 2 episodes, and we made both available, so you guys can check those out as well. Again, if you'd like to support the show, patreon.com/thegocast. And with that, let's jump into the new games that we've been playing. All right, Zack, what is new on the horizon that I can ignore because my plate's full?
Sure. First game you could ignore is Spy Cross Anya, Operation Memories. This is a tie into the Spy Family manga anime series. It comes out PS5, PS4, and Switch June 28th. Final Fantasy XIV Dawn Trail, the next major expansion for the long-running MMO, comes to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series consoles, PlayStation 4, and PC July 2nd. The First Descendant is the third-person looter shooter that I feel like we've been inundated with of trailers for years. Comes to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, and PC July 2nd. Fate Seeker 2 strategy game coming to PS5 July 4th. And then Zenless Zone Zero. This is the newest game from MiHoYo in the Hoyo-verse. This is the Genshin Impact people. Coming to PS5, PC, iOS, and Android July 4th. Scott, I assume you can confidently ignore all of these, but I guess if there was a gun to your head, which one would you lie to yourself that you might play?
I mean, you're not wrong. There's nothing here for me. However, I'm after talking to Marina from Quest Markers, she has really made me consider Final Fantasy XIV. The woman adores that game and has really come close to selling me on that. Now, this is an expansion. I'm clearly not going to start with an expansion.
Right.
But someday, I'd like to dip my toe into that world and see what she's talking about.
Once you get to that desert island.
Yes.
And or maybe after Baldur's Gate 3, you'll need another weekly game replacement. Make Final Fantasy 14.
The problem is that isn't that a subscription-based game?
Not for like the first 100 hours.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Sold.
What about you, Alyssa? Are any of these games actually intriguing to you?
Not really, but I will say I do love Spy Family, so Spy Anya, Operation Memories. It looks adorable, but it also looks like it's just mini games.
Yes. So it looks like you're just kind of living Anya's life.
It's like you're playing the episodes of the anime and then, living her life. So
what's Anya-ware?
Anya-ware. Like WarioWare, but Anya.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So I probably won't play it, but I mean, just watching the trailer, it was adorable because Anya's always adorable. But I don't plan to play any of these.
What about you, Zack?
Yeah, I'm going to skip all of this as well.
All right.
Zenless Zone Zero, I think, looks somewhat interesting. Like the style of it and the fact that it's a turn-based RPG is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that it's free to play means I'm not interested at all.
Yep.
a free to play turn based game. So it's just I assume there's gonna be hard level gates of well, if you pay $5 though, you'll get to we'll get to this character that's great at fire match and get you past that ice boss. What a deal, you know? So no, thank you. I think is the first Ascendant free to play as well.
I'm not sure.
I don't know that game.
I'm not sure either. It's been like every Game Awards for 2 years or something. I feel like, or maybe I don't know. Maybe it looks like a lot of other games, so I might be confusing it with other games.
Yeah,
but it sounds like we're all just gonna skip right on past this.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
But what you did not skip, Zach, is Still Wakes the Deep, which you were playing on Xbox because I assume you played there as opposed to PS5 because it's on Game Pass.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I am so intrigued by this game.
I am as well.
So intrigued that you guys didn't play it.
Well, dude, I've been really trying
to.
to.
Saga.
And I'm playing Paper Mario. I'm really trying to finish that game so you can play it. Like I skipped this game for you, man.
Okay, now this is what you're gonna do. Yeah, that's fine. I'll go. You know what? You want me to go buy my own copy, of Paper Mario? Get you off the hook? Make you feel better?
No, because then I gotta loan it to somebody else.
But yes, no. So Wakes the Deep. I did play. I played all the way through it, guys. I did it for the podcast. I did it for you.
Oh, look at that.
Oh,
yeah. So how about that?
So like this is the thing that I've heard about this that really attracts me to this game outside of the artistic style, the backdrop, the setting, the timeline, is the accents. I hear that the Scottish accents are just awesome. Please tell me they're as cool as they sound.
They are indeed awesome. They're full of words that mean nothing to our American language lexicon. But dude, I think it's really funny that in the subtitles, every time they say a word that is, has Scottish connotations, the subtitles will translate it to more commonly used English for you. And I think that's really funny.
Kind of like when I wish they had that in the movie Snatch. Like when I was watching the movie, like I had no idea what they were saying, but it sounded cool.
Yeah, it's like they always refer to kids as wees.
Yeah,
like a wee lad,
wee bairn.
Yeah, but they don't even say wee lad. There's like a bunch of wees or a bunch of weens. I don't know. It's either way. Yeah, it is. No, you're right. The accents are a lot of fun.
Okay, and tell me about the game because this is the Dear Esther people, right? And the
Amnesia.
Rapture?
I think Dear Esther's different. Wait. Oh no.
Yeah, they did Dear Esther and Amnesia: Machine for Pigs, I believe.
And wasn't it also the Everybody Comes the
Everybody
Rapture?
Goes the Rapture.
Yeah.
So is this walking simulator like that?
Yes, that is exactly right.
All right.
It is absolutely a walking simulator. Slightly more sophisticated because you'll occasionally kind of do some first-person platforming. But by platforming, I mean you just kind of hold down the right trigger to hold onto a ledge and push forward.
Okay.
So still a walking simulator where you're mostly pushing forward. It does have the occasional stealth segment where a monster is in the room. But they're incredibly simplistic because it'll have like 40 items on the ground so you can throw it in a direction and make the monster investigate. So I'm saying it's just very easy. They obviously like their previous games, they want you to get through this, and see it. So it's not too complex. It is mostly a walking simulator.
What's the story about?
You're on an oil rig, digging into the sea off the Scottish coast, and you dig too fast and too greedily, and you expose yourself to something indescribable. The like monster that you've kind of because that's the premise, right? You've dug into the ground, and there's some kind of creature sort of overtaking the oil rig.
Mm-hmm.
And what is interesting is very Lovecraftian. In that this monster is indescribable and it doesn't make sense and it seems to be operating outside of our understanding. But they actually they really commit to that. And it's hard to describe without giving away too much. But it's just like the monster's design is unlike anything I would have imagined.
In a good way?
In a very good way, yeah. It's just totally unexpected and fairly unique. And the way it's kind of overtaking this oil rig. And it's, giving your main character visions of, things that aren't there. It's driving other characters insane. So it's very in the stylings of H.P. Lovecraft for sure.
Now, this game, like you said, takes place on an oil rig, and it takes place in the 70s. my mind immediately goes to Alien. You know, claustrophobic environment set in the 70s. Do you get any of those vibes from playing this?
Yes, I think so. Especially with as the monster takes over more and more, you know, there's kind of like that organic stuff mixing in with these, you know, heavy industrial metals. So it's got a lot of Alien vibes for sure. Yes, I think so.
How long is it?
Like 5-ish hours, I would say.
Sold.
Yeah, that's not bad
play
at
this
all.
game.
It's very quick, and the characters are very, endearing. You can see that you've worked here or whatever. You know, like the chef on the oil rig is like boys with your guy, so they have like a lot of history. And the other characters, what I find cool about the story is that the other survivors you kind of run into or work alongside, like, oh, we got to get off this oil rig. These characters, they're doing other things that are important to the survival as well.
Oh,
so and you just kind of don't see what they're up to, but like let's say you're trying to like realign one of the oil rig legs, right? Because there's 4 of them or whatever, and like it's up to you to do 2 and the other character to do 2 others. This is just a small example early in the game, but what's nice about it is like he does just do the 2 others. And they kind of like taught, and you kind of like you guys are going back and forth over the little like corded oil rig phones,
yeah,
to kind of coordinate your efforts. But the whole time I was expecting like, well, I can't wait for him to die, so I have to go and do his job for him, like every other video game,
right?
But no, he just kind of does his part, and like the electrical person's doing what she can. It's like it was just really, it's kind of refreshing that it goes a long way to making you feel like you aren't the hero of the horror story. You're just like another survivor in it.
Interesting. So yeah, it sounds like you recommend it.
Yeah, I think it's a very, it's not going to like revolutionize anything about your life or anything. It's just like it's a really strong, solid horror story, and it's just like a nice, simple way to get through a story with a walking simulator element. So yeah, I recommend it, especially if you have Game Pass, easy recommendation. I know otherwise it's being sold for $35, so a little bit harder to recommend, I think,
right?
In that way, but that's going to be more up to your taste, Like I probably would have paid $35 and felt fine, but I know a lot of people, a 5-hour game where you mostly just push forward on the analog stick might be a hard sell for some.
Satisfying ending, story wise.
Yeah, it was actually surprisingly satisfying. Even.
Cool. Sounds good. Again, that is Still Wakes the Deep, not to be confused with the character from The Boys.
No, although I don't want to ruin it, but he does have a cameo.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's up there. He's just talking to the monster, and so I don't want to get. They kind of become bros. It's very interesting to watch.
I don't know if I want to be bros with the deep.
No.
Well, Zack, you've also been playing Elden Ring's DLC, Shadow of the Erdtree. I have to admit, I don't really know anything about Elden Ring. I've never played it because it kind of intimidates me, but I know you loved it, and you love this FromSoft game. So how does this DLC compare to the base game? Does it add to the story?
Well, I can tell you right off the top, my first instinct, the first 30 minutes or so, I was like, oh, okay, so it's more Elden Ring. I get it.
Okay.
But then, 2 hours go by, right? And I'm like, well, this is awesome. This is amazing. Love this. So I guess it is technically more Elden Ring if you wanted a quick overview. But why the hell would that be a bad thing?
I mean, if you love it, then it's a great thing.
So the general setup, if you would like to know, Alyssa.
Yeah.
If you in the base game, you hear a lot about the demigod Mikola.
Okay.
But you never see him. He's kind of absent from the game. And as we discover at the beginning of, with this DLC, is he's gone to another realm, the realm of Shadow. And essentially you follow him there. And then that's kind of the setup of the DLC. It's the story so far has been interesting because there are kind of a lot of characters.
Okay.
Which is not typical of a FromSoft game. And they're not that obscurely hidden. They're kind of everybody's kind of journeying along the same path you are. And because of that, you'll get past a major boss or something like that, and you kind of get to check in with the people again and see how they're doing.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, it's cool, and it's just sort of it's different. It's a kind of a different style for FromSoft, who they love to tell their kind of esoteric, hard to understand stories, but this one's definitely more direct than they've ever been so far. So it's kind of interesting.
I've heard that this is a really meaty DLC, like potentially scores of hours.
Well, I think I've put in 8-ish hours, and I just got like to the first new major area.
Okay.
So yeah, it seems like it's going to be pretty long. I've heard estimates about like 30 or 40 hours, and that sounds right.
Okay. Yeah, that's a meaty DLC.
That's a whole game. That's a whole new game.
Yeah.
How much is the DLC?
It's $40.
Okay. I mean, that seems worth it for this. But I mean, I know we don't judge the value of games based on their length, but for a game of this size and scope to have a DLC like that, $40 seems more than reasonable.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And much like Elden Ring itself, Shadow of the Erdtree is just so dense. Every time, several times I've been like, okay, I think I've seen everything here. I'm ready to go across the bridge. Then you go across the bridge, like, oh, there is as much stuff here on the other side of this bridge. But when you look at the map, you're like, it doesn't look like there's a lot of landmass, but there's just there's so many hidden caves, or there's just such density to the world. There's always something to do, and it's just, I mean, it's such a intoxicating feeling, right? This is the reason why you can easily put 70 hours in Elden Ring before you really start advancing the narrative.
Do you know which boss it is that you have to have beaten in the game? As I know you platinumed the game, so you already are fine. But I heard that you have to have beaten a certain boss in order to even access this DLC.
You have to beat Star Scourge Radahn, who you have to beat for the story of Elden Ring. I'm pretty sure it's so hard to remember who's optional or not with a game that's open. That it's that open. But yeah, I think you have to beat Star Scourge Radahn. But then there's an optional boss called Moog, and he is going to be the real stumbling block because I think something like 40% of people who played the game have beaten him.
Wow.
So only 40% of people could even play the DLC.
Oh wow.
Anyway, what do you think about it?
Makes you wonder how many people were buying the DLC. Like, would you buy the DLC if you didn't finish the game? Like, you want more Elden Ring, but you didn't finish the base game? I don't know.
I personally don't understand why you would do that. Or at least beat Moog before you decide whether or not going to commit.
Right. Do they tell you that, like, when you're buying it? Like, just so you know, you have to have beaten this and this before you buy it.
I think the store's description does. So as long as you can read, you should.
So there's going to be lots of problems.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of people.
Not that many people read the descriptions of things.
Yes. Now, how best to describe this? So it has a unique leveling system.
Okay. For
the DLC area, and I assume they did this in a way to ensure that everyone was kind of on a level playing field.
Mm-hmm.
So when you enter the realm of Shadow, Lands of Shadow, it's going to be tough. It's going to be very hard. Even if now, as part of that is no doubt because I'm rusty, right? I haven't played since the game came out.
Sure.
Or whenever I stopped playing, and so some of that. But then when I was getting my groove back, I was still kind of getting my butt kicked. But what is essential to this DLC are called skidoo tree fragments, which is a hilarious word. Skidoo.
Makes me think of Kung Fu Panda.
Skadoosh. Yeah.
Oh, I see. I've never seen those motion pictures. And so there's like these crosses that Mikkel has left behind. So your goal is to explore, and as you find these crosses, you'll find more skidoo tree fragments. And this is how you level up in the DLC. It's your skidoo tree blessing, and this increases the damage you put out and negates the damage you take in. So this is your easy leveling up. And I can't decide how I feel about this system because it does incentivize you to explore, right? Because the only way to really make a substantial difference to the damage you're putting out is to find these fragments. But it also means that the leveling system as it works in Elden Ring is kind of unnecessary. It's totally negligible in the DLC. So when you die and you lose all your runes, your souls, you don't really have to care because traditionally leveling up doesn't matter in this DLC.
Wow, that's quite a change.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a stumbling block for some people. I could see if you're just trying to follow the golden path, right? And go from one checkpoint to another. the game is probably going to seem insurmountably hard because it's put a hard roadblock on you. And it is a little frustrating that you can't just do what you can in the other FromSoft games and just, you could just realistically keep fighting the enemies, kill them, get your souls, level up, and do more damage over time. Or even, you'll be doing such tiny amount of damage that you might be able to kill a boss through sheer attrition alone. But with the way the tree fragment system works, or at least the way I'm deciphering it so far, is like you're going to be doing so little damage to the boss, and there's no other recourse than to go explore, that it is a substantial change from how all of their games have worked ever.
It's not stopping you from moving forward, though, it sounds like.
No, well, because I like that it incentivizes me to explore, and I am obviously already the kind of gamer where I'm going to try to see most of the map anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah,
but
sure.
if you're just somebody who wants to like fight boss after boss, if that's the way you enjoy these games, you can't do that here. And I assume they did that. Like I don't know. Like they could have just wiped you and just said you're level 1 in Realm of Shadow and have you restart, but then I think people would get mad, right? Because they got their levels taken away.
Doesn't feel like DLC. It feels like an expansion pack or something.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's just theater of the mind though, because the tree fragments are basically this. You are level 1 until you find the tree fragments.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's just tricking your brain in a way that feels better.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
But that's how humans are. So I don't know. Yeah. So I don't know where I land on the leveling up system yet. I haven't decided because it was fresh. I did not find myself frustrated at it, but I just thought it was like, this is kind of a strange choice, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And yet, yeah, I don't know. I'm in my feelings about it. I don't know how to decide how I'm feeling.
Well, let us know when you finish it. We'll come.
Yeah.
We'll circle around back
Yeah,
after you.
We'll see how it comes out in the watch. I have not found it annoying. In fact, every time I see one of those new crosses, I'm like, ooh, I get to level up with a Muscadoo trait. Excellent news. And that's also how you like, because you have your spirit ashes you can summon, your little fighters in combat, and there's little fragments you can find for them to level up as well. Because otherwise you could just steamroll bosses with your little summon buddies.
Mm-hmm.
But so far I fought a few major bosses, where they like get a little intro and everything. Those have been very fun. These bosses are fast, man, like ferocious compared to a lot of the Elden Ring bosses.
That scares the crap out of me.
Yeah, me too.
And like the first major boss you fight is like this huge beast. It's like such Bloodborne energy, man. I was all over it. But these like if you're the kind of player where you go into the boss room and you summon your little assistant guy or whatever, if you try to do that here, like the boss is going to crush you against the wall for daring to try to summon a companion at the start.
Oh.
Like they sprint for you, man. They're out for blood. It's pretty gnarly. It really puts you on your back feet right away. It's kind of exciting actually.
Awesome.
Because you feel like you mastered base Elden Ring so much that it's kind of nice to have somebody who wants to kick your teeth in a little bit.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad you're enjoying the pain and suffering.
I'm glad you are too.
Such as it is. There are also new weapons, and like they play quite differently. Like there's a light greatsword I found. Like it's the size of a giant, two-handed sword, but you can kind of like fence with it almost.
Oh, okay.
But it requires like heavy strength stat. But it's
also I love watching you do this.
You little like poke my fencing through the webcam.
Yeah.
And then and I also found this like backhand blade that I've really been enjoying. He does the Star
Killer. I was just gonna say that.
Oh.
But they're like huge actual length swords. I thought they would be daggers, but those have been a lot of fun because they stagger an enemy like an actual sword would do, but you're swinging them as fast as daggers. So it's kind of it's an interesting new thing in it, and it's a weapon ability is where you do a quick two-step sidestep move where you get behind them real quick.
Uh-huh.
So you're like freaking, I don't know, you're flying around like a ninja out there. It's just been a lot of fun playing with those as well. So yeah, there's just an unbelievable amount of new content. If you beat Elden Ring, I think this DLC is a no-brainer purchase.
And this is the last one they're doing, right? They're not doing any more.
Right, yeah. I think they said first and only, which I mean, it took 2 years to make this expansion, so I would hope
yeah.
I would hope it would be substantial and you can move on to Elden Ring 2 from here.
Well, there you have it. Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree. You are playing that on PS5? Yes.
Of course. Yeah. No problems in that regard.
All right. And I want to talk to you both about a game that you both have been checking out. We mentioned it a few weeks ago, I feel like. And for some reason we didn't talk about it, but Duck Detective, The Secret Salami, which I'm trying not to have my mind in the gutter because that just sounds like a dirty story to me.
They know what they did.
Yeah.
Alyssa, you're playing this on PC. Zach, where are you playing it?
Yeah, Steam Deck.
Oh, Steam Deck. All right. So when we watch this, it's a very noir type game, right? Like this duck has a very serious, like been smoking since he was 14 voice. What's the story here?
Okay, so you are Eugene McQuacklin, duck detective. He has just gone through a divorce. He is addicted to bread.
Bread?
And, bread. Loaves of bread.
He's huffing that sweet loaf.
Like, he's got a loaf of bread on his bed. I'm like, are you cuddling that bread at night?
Listen, why are you narking this man out? Just let him have his bread.
Well, yeah, true. I mean, I'd be addicted to bread, too. I love bread. Anyway. He gets hired by a company called Bear Bus, and they're like, hey, a lunch was stolen. So he has to go all the way to this bus station to find out who stole someone's lunch. And that is the central mystery of the game.
Who stole the lunch?
Yes.
Yeah, man. The Salami Bandit. We got to get to the bottom of this.
They stole salami.
This sounds amazing to me.
And one thing I love about this game, like just before we get into gameplay, is the loading screens. Did you look at the little facts that would be like, contrary to popular belief, most ducks do not pay their taxes, or do not file their taxes. And it's like, the duck was named after John Duck, who invented the animal in 18-something.
Just absurd non-facts.
Yeah.
Correct. It is pretty delightful.
And the whole game is just, delightful. It only took me a little over 2 hours to finish. It's not a difficult game at all, even if you're playing on detective mode, which I guess is normal mode, because there is a story mode as well. It's pretty easy. I mean, it's really easy, actually.
Well, I will say it is easy, but the way you make your deductions,
and they're spelled DEDUCK. Deductions. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
See what they did there? They basically give you like a fill in the blank kind of questionnaire, but they'll give you 15 words to guess 2 or 3 blanks, and you could just brute force it if you want to just guess words. But it kind of I thought it did a good job of making you feel like a detective of putting.
Yeah, you have to go around and I'm sorry to cut you off. Interview suspects. And you observe things in the environment, and then you piece the clues together that way.
Right. You're not cutting me off. That's just conversationalist.
Okay. I'm Southern. I was raised to wait my turn, so I feel bad whenever I do.
Bless your heart.
And also, the clues are color-coded, which... Did it have a colorblind mode, Zach?
I was going to say, this is the first time hearing that the color-coded.
Okay. The clues are color-coded, so when the fill in the blanks, they're a certain color. They'll be green or purple or blue, and then the words will be green or purple or blue, so there's a certain subset of words that go in that one spot.
So Zach found the hard mode.
I was going to say, yeah.
Funnily enough, in the accessibility options, there is an option if you're dyslexic, but I didn't notice a colorblind option.
There might have been a colorblind option, but I find most games just do a filter, and I don't find those to be helpful for whatever my colorblindness is. So I often just try to play without a colorblind assist on, because there are games where they do change the actual UI colors, but a lot of them just put a filter over the whole screen, and it kind of changes all of the art, and it kind of looks ugly.
Okay,
and it isn't particularly helpful. So I usually just try to avoid colorblind modes.
I mean, it could be as easy as underline these words and have an underline there, or these have boxes and have a box there for a blank or a circle. I don't know.
Yeah,
you think they would have done something. I didn't even think about that when I was playing, but then, talking to Zach, I'm like, oh, he's colorblind, so those words that were different colors, you wouldn't be able to tell that probably.
Yeah. So, I still finished the game. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. But I guess I played it on hard mode.
Yeah,
which is which is a testament to your skill as a duck detective.
That's true. I'm a duck like no other.
Yes.
Take me back, a duck wife.
So you guys, should I play this?
I mean, it's adorable. It's very short. I mean, I had fun with it. I hope there's more duck detective games because I was craving some more cases to solve, and you just have this one.
I was surprised that it was all just this office.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be like a few different cases, and it's just this one, and you're in this one location, and that's it.
Now, in true noir fashion, Scott, you're there to investigate a disappearing lunch, but things go much deeper.
Yes. You have to solve multiple mysteries within this overarching mystery.
So solve the smaller mystery to help you solve the larger mystery. Gotcha. Yeah. All right.
Or really, I don't know. The game's kind of charming because you're actually kind of solving the larger mystery so you can solve the smaller mystery.
Yeah.
Which is pretty.
It's difficult to describe, but yeah.
But I think ultimately, yes, Scott, you should play this because I think it was $10.
I managed to get it for $8, but that was because I had another game from that developer or publisher in my library. But yeah, I think it's $10 if you don't have one of their games already.
So it's like, a movie ticket price for a movie length game.
Yeah,
I think that's perfect.
And it's on other platforms too. It's on Xbox.
Is it? I know it's on Switch.
I have done Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and Mac.
Oh, I believe you.
Yeah,
but it's it's charming as hell.
Yeah,
and that's what you want.
And it's fully voice acted.
I like charming, and I like voice acting. Check it out.
Eugene McQuacklin.
He's
got a great he is the hard-boiled noir detective you want when you're investigating these animal crimes.
I love it.
But you, Scott, I assume have been playing video games as well this past week.
I have, yes.
And you played the demo for Steel Seed, a sci-fi stealth platformer.
Yes.
Which I would say that looks incredible just from the trailer.
The trailer looks a lot better than it does. But again, the trailer I feel like is doctored up to sell it.
Oh, for sure.
And the game itself is actually in like a much earlier state. It's still very early. But
right. Were you playing? Did you play it on PC or did you play it on your Steam Deck?
I don't have a PC to play it on. I don't if it's Mac. I played it on my Steam Deck. Yeah.
Right. So I was just wondering, it might not even be optimized for it, so it might just look worse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying it. My experience with it isn't what I experienced in the trailer. But again, I'm not on a PC. So this game has a lot of potential. I think it's when this fully gets released, which it is coming to consoles and everything too. So it's not going to be just on PC. But it is the interesting thing is that there's not a lot that this game is doing original, but it's taking a lot of really good ideas that have been done in other games and putting them all together in a package that I think works really well. But I think
like Darksiders, right?
Yeah.
Or I'm just saying, like in terms of a game that didn't have an original idea, but managed to put them all together in a way that was satisfying.
Sure. There you go. Yeah. So I think the biggest standout in terms of originality is the setting. This is the story is like you're an AI character, or no. You're a female and a little robot companion that are trying to take down an AI, which is very appropriate for today's day and age, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like you're in this underground facility and there's just moving parts. There's like it's a living, breathing. I'm not going to say society because you don't see any people or anything like that, but there's just there's a lot of stuff going around in the background. You know how like when you play an Uncharted game and you're climbing along walls, which there's a lot of that in this. You know, you're finding the glowy, grippy point or whatever, but there's just stuff in the background going on. Not necessarily characters or machines, like sentient machines. There's just mechanical stuff going on all over the place, and I found myself just checking it out. What's going on? What are they doing? I don't understand. Because this demo just drops you into this world without explaining any of the story at all. I actually had to do some reading to find out what the story is. But
oh my god, reading?
Well, I mean, I'm not complaining about reading. I'm just saying I had to look up. I had to go to the press release and stuff. There's nothing in the demo itself that gives you a lot of explanation. But like I mentioned Uncharted, there's a lot of the climbing like that. It's a third person, melee combat. You got a strong attack, a weak attack, but then it's also got the stealth ability where you're doing the Metal Gear Solid thing where you've got the radar and you're trying to stay out of the line of sight of these enemies, and so you can sneak your way past, but if you don't, then they're alerted to your presence and you have to fight your way, and you're not completely powerless, but it's definitely easier to stealth your way through. You also got the little floating robot I told you about that allows you to zoom around in complete 360 degree motion, right? And that becomes your Splinter Cell mark the target thing. Or actually, I guess Assassin's Creed did that too.
Yeah,
Far Cry.
Or Far Cry, yeah.
So you can actually see them from a distance, and that becomes pretty fun. He also has a stun ability that you can use in battle, so you can command him to stun an enemy for you. You use him to unlock certain like trigger points in the environment that will allow you to access this. So it's got all this really interesting stuff going on, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going on. There's something story related with her father, because again, doesn't explain anything to you, but she's talking to the robot as if you've been playing the game for a while, and says,
Sure.
Oh, Dad would really be proud of us for that, but we got to find him. So Dad's missing somehow. Don't know why. Don't know for what reason, but I again, the look is really what stands out to this. It feels very. Remember the opening of Enslaved? Odyssey to the West, like where you're like in that underground facility, and it just felt very mechanical. It felt like that, but just had a grander scale. And it's a linear game. I feel like we've talked about this in the past. Like we don't get this much anymore. Everything is open world, and
that's a good point. Yeah.
It's kind of refreshing that we're just getting a nice linear experience with a good budget behind it. So Steel Seed, again, it's just a demo. But I'm very intrigued, and I will probably be checking this one out when it's at full release. So, and my review, if you'd like to read more, with some screenshots in the trailer, are on the website, thegamingoutsider.com.
So, Scott, you've also been playing the demo for Pinball Spire, which is a pinball game, but it has a unique twist, according to the trailer.
Yes.
What are you feeling about this game? Because you are the pinball aficionado of the group.
Yeah, you remember how much I liked Yoku's Island Express, where they basically took the pinball mechanics and turned it into a gear-gated game?
Yeah.
I actually I'm really tempted to go re-download that game and play it again, because that game is just so great, and it's been long enough that I don't remember it. This is along those same vein, but it doesn't play the same. It's more like a pinball rogue-like kind of game. Did you guys ever play like Metroid Prime Pinball or Mario Pinball Land back in those days? Zach, did you?
Nope.
Or I guess maybe I could even say Sonic Spinball. Maybe this is a game where
played that, yeah.
Where Sonic Spinball is more score based. This is more like you're on a board, and the goal is to get your way up to the top to get to the next board. So you're just on a pinball table, right? Mm-hmm. And there's an exit there, but you can't get through it because it's blocked off, and you have to do something to be able to figure out how to get to the next deal. So it's all about flipping to the right places on this board in order to unlock the path to be able to get up. And it's so clever because, like, for instance, the level that stood out to me is I came across a room or a table that is dark. You can't see anything. And you have to figure out, all you can see is your flippers and you can see the ball. But you have no idea what you're shooting at. You have no idea, so you have to learn from the reactions of what it's doing. And you learn, if I hit it over here, I'm going to be able to see that I need to spell out the words light in order to light up the room. And then once you do that, then you have to figure out which triggers you have to do to open up this. And it's just so clever. And you're also leveling up at the same time because you have a mechanic where you're able to slow the speed of the ball. And also it gives you the little angle to show you where it's going to shoot to. But that basically has a mana meter. So as you level up, that mana meter increases, So the more points you're getting, it's not like you're chasing a score. You're getting points in order to level up your character. And the really clever thing is that, if the ball drains, it goes down the middle and you lose, instead of starting over, it just brings you back to the last table, and you now know the secret to that table. You just go up, and it's called Pinball Spire because you're working your way up to the top of this tower, basically. It's a very short demo, only about 45 minutes. It's one of the Steam Next Fest demos. You could download and play it for free. If you like pinball at all, I highly recommend checking it out. This is a game that I will be purchasing when this comes out because I have missed this style of game. Not pinball. Obviously, there's plenty of pinball to play, but a pinball with purpose that's more than just score grabs. So Pinball Spire, I highly recommend you check that one out. All right, real quick, before we move on to the topic, I got a couple other reviews to share with you guys. I sat down with Mark and with Jacob. They reviewed a couple games for us, and you can hear those right now. I'm here with Jacob Gunderson. What's going on, Jacob?
Hey, man, what's up? How you doing?
I'm doing all right, a little tired, a little busy around here.
Building a deck.
Summer vacation has started, and the wife has put me to work. So,
of course,
I'm a little exhausted. While she's on a cruise, by the way. Funny how that works, right?
Right.
But we're not here to listen to me complain about my woes. We're here to talk about a game you were reviewing for us called Soulmask. This is a PC game developed by Campfire Studios, published by, is it Qooland Games? Qooland Games? And was provided to us by Press Engine. I watched the trailer for this. What an interesting trailer. Can you explain to everybody what type of game this is first off before we get into the questions I have about the trailer?
So it's a survival craft game. You are you survive a blood sacrifice from your current tribe and land in the middle of nowhere, and then you have to just start building a new tribe basically. And so you build a campfire, and you build a little house, and then you build a bonfire, and you start collecting people, and you assign them jobs, and the entire time you're exploring and finding new things and just collecting materials and making new things to fight bigger and stronger enemies.
Okay, so it's third person. You see your character, and it looks like the appeal for this game, or the novelty of this game, at least from what the trailer showed, is that there is no set protagonist. There's not like one single character you were playing as, but you were kind of becoming each of these other characters in this village you're creating.
So it's really weird because you're basically playing the mask. You set up a character to begin with, and that's the first character that is kicked out of the tribe and whatnot, and they stumble upon this mask. As you're playing the game and you find other characters that may be stronger than that character that you're playing, you can give them the mask, and then you're playing as that character.
That's cool. So instead of leveling up one character, you just find a stronger character and become them.
Well, you can level up that character, or you can set up things in your base to level up other characters and then use them later if you need to.
It's almost like an RTS almost, but in third person.
Well, there's permadeath. Your main character can't die, but the other ones can. So if you've trained some guy to be really powerful, really good with weapons and blah blah whatever, and you take them out and he dies, he's gone. You can save the in later levels. You can save their abilities to the mask, and then go to like a hub and download those traits onto either another character or resurrect that character.
Interesting. So I was not expecting the survival aspect of it because my first look at the trailer looked like a bunch of combat. But then the trailer kind of sells you on, building up your base and building resources. And so what's the end goal? What are you trying to accomplish?
I'm not really sure yet. It's me and my wife playing, so I haven't sunk a whole lot of time into it. But really early on in the game, it tells you like, hey, the first boss is over here, and you need to be a certain level to go fight it. Well, me and my wife hit a certain level, went and fought it, and got completely ruined. So then we went back to the drawing board, went and found new materials, and started building up things, and just went out and exploring and stuff. But yeah, the end goal just right now just seems to be just survive and beat the bosses. There are 5 main bosses through the through the world, which is a big world. I was shocked. They actually released an update to minimize how far you could zoom out on the map, so you can't see the entire map in one go. Because when we first started playing on release day, you zoomed all the way out, and there was like this very small part of the map that you actually were allowed to see in the beginning, but you could see everything else, and it was like, man, this is going to take forever because it's huge. But now you can only see maybe a couple square miles at a time. I'm like, okay, well, we're going to go here, we're going to go, you know, there. This is the next step, you know, whatever. But you can kind of see through the fog of war a little bit at the other parts of the map, so you can kind of see where like big structures are. But other than that, you really can't see any landmarks through the map. Okay. So you can, I'm going to go in that direction to see maybe what that is. And then, you know, you discover things along the way.
You mentioned co-op, and that's something that they highlight in the trailer, a pretty big deal. You actually, you know, we got you a review copy, but then you bought another copy so that you could play with your wife. How does that work in terms of, I mean, obviously it's cooperative, but I mean, you guys still got wrecked on a boss, even though there's two of you.
Well, it's a massive online game. You can have multiple. You can have up to 20 people in your tribe, and so this is meant to be played with lots of people. And so it's on servers. If you go to a dedicated, if you go to one of their servers, an official server, when you log out, your character just sits down and just takes a break. Everything else is still playing around you, so it depends on who's online at the time. Me and my wife are playing on one of our dedicated servers, and so when I log out, the game stops. Everything halts, which is probably better for some people who don't want to have the multiplayer aspect of it, because playing Ark and having to restart a base every 5 days or whatever sucked. But it also is scary because if you're playing online with a bunch of different people in different tribes and that kind of stuff, when you collect people, they just walk around the base and do jobs and stuff, and if you get raided, they can get killed, and then you lose your guys, and then you have to go out and get more.
Incentive to come back on a frequent basis, it sounds like.
Yeah, well, so the structures you build are constantly degrading. So if you,
oh man,
yeah, there's a way.
Everything is just working against you, and
there's a way to turn it off and whatnot. They give you that option, but in the official servers you can't. So everything is constantly dying. But you build bonfires, and the bonfires protect your structures in a certain location. But then the bonfires need to be fed, and so you can set a NPC up to go collect wood, and then another NPC to feed the bonfire.
Gotcha. Kind of set up these like living machines to take care of your camp while you're gone.
And they actually are pretty intricate. You can give the boxes information to, this is not a storage box, this is a storage box. No one can pull from this box, or everyone can pull from this box. You can tell all the crafting tables not to allow the NPCs to remove items from them when they're done crafting. You can set up the crafting tables to reproduce certain items in a time frame that you want, So okay. I have my it's not the weapons crafting, but it's just one of the crafting tables that makes axes to cut down trees. I have them creating one axe every 30 minutes because that's relatively the time it takes for them to break an axe. Okay. And so they walk over, they make a new axe, they break the axe, they discard the old axe, and then pick up the new one. So,
gotcha. Last question I have is the tone of this game, because the trailer gives the impression that there's a sense of humor buried in this game. Is that prevalent in the game itself, or is that just a trailer doing a funny thing?
It might just be a trailer doing a funny thing. I haven't seen a lot of humor, although there are a lot of monkeys running around who the monkeys run around and collect things. You can get
there's like shots of you like hitting a guy in the nuts and stuff like that, and they make a big deal of that in the trailer.
Yeah, I haven't seen any huge outlandish jokes made, but the monkeys are, so I mentioned Ark before, so you can get animals in this game. Llamas, alpacas, monkeys, ostriches, turkeys, capybara. All of them are used for different things. The monkeys are funny because they'll run around, like I said, and they'll collect things, and then you build a monkey house, which is a stump, and they'll run up and they'll leave stuff in the stump, and then you can go to the stump and collect it, and they'll collect anything from bananas to pineapples to leaves and stuff that you can use to make rope, and it's kind of funny.
So do you recommend people check out Soulmask?
If you're into the survival craft stuff, if you put that on single player on your own dedicated server. It's a lot of fun. Just running around and finding people and taking them over. The takeover mechanic is kind of like Conan Exiles, if you've ever played that. You go and you beat the snot out of them, and then you touch them, and the mask kind of goes, "Hey, you're mine now." But they go unconscious. You have to physically pick up their body, take them back to the base, and lay them in a bed and nurse them back to health. And then when they wake up, they're your friend, and you can use them.
Sounds interesting, man. Well, thanks so much for checking that out. Again, the game is Soulmask. Looking forward to your written review in the near future, and many more games in the future, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, man. We'll catch you later, okay?
Thanks, man. See ya.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
What's happening, Mark Szymanski? Good to see you, man.
Good to see you too, Scott.
I'd like to say it's been a while, but you're kind of like a regular here, so
and it's always a blast.
That's awesome, dude. You were here to talk about a game that you were reviewing for us called Aarik in the Ruined Kingdom.
Yes.
Now, you're playing this on Switch, but it's also available on PC. It comes from Shatterproof Games. They're developing, publishing it, and they provided us with a copy of the game, so we got this direct from the developer. So talk to me about Aarik in the Ruined Kingdom, because I watched this trailer. Actually, we were talking about it right before we started recording. I said, boy, this looks like a Mark Szymanski game if I've ever seen one.
And it really love puzzle games. I love puzzle games. They keep my mind going. I feel like I'm learning or growing or not deteriorating. How about that?
There you go.
First, real quick, I played it on Steam. And in hindsight, I think I would have enjoyed it more on the Switch.
I thought you said Switch for some.
Mm-hmm. I'm not, and honestly, I'm not sure if it is on Switch, but if it is, I think I would have enjoyed it more. I think the controls would have been a little bit more precise there.
Oh, okay. Interesting. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's a simple little game. You are a, 10-year-old boy. Your father is the king. Obviously, your mother is the queen. Your mother has disappeared. Your father is on his deathbed. And the kingdom is falling apart. Thus, the ruined kingdom. So you put on your dad's crown. You inherit, I guess, some special powers, which is how you solve the puzzles. And you go about your adventure.
Okay. And just to give people like an idea of how this game works, it's kind of like a isometric overhead view, kind of like Tunic. I'm not going to say it's a gameplay like Tunic, but it has that look of Tunic, both in like angle and even a little bit of the art presentation reminds me of Tunic.
I agree completely.
Mm-hmm. So how does the gameplay work?
The gameplay, full disclosure, when I was playing it, it still said beta access. The gameplay is simple, and it's a little bit clumsy right now. I think they have a little bit of cleaning up to do. But that's being said, once the finished product is out, I think the puzzles are charming. They are fun. They are occasionally frustrating, and there is no handholding. So as kid-friendly as this game appears, I don't think a kid would enjoy it because some of the puzzles aren't intuitive at all. They are, you almost come down to, we discussed it last week or 2 weeks ago with Skeller Boy, the point-clicky kind of stuff. You're just clicking around the screen trying to figure out what you can click on or what might interact with the puzzle so that you can solve it. It made for occasional frustration for me. If I'm going to be given a difficult puzzle, I would like to get my little get-out-of-jail-free card where I can click on it and say, hey, dummy, why don't you click over here? And then I can smack myself in the head.
It's called YouTube, man.
Well, this is a new game. There is no YouTube.
That's true. That's true.
That reminds me of trying. Everybody only recorded the demo.
That reminds me of like games like Myst.
Yes.
Remember those back in the day where like they just did not give you any direction whatsoever? I got excruciatingly frustrated when I was a kid trying to play those games, and I never went back. I would love to go back and revisit those games now that I have adult sensibilities to see if I could be a little bit more intuitive. But so in the trailer, it looks like a lot of these puzzles involve like, I don't know, sliding statues and getting things in the right place. What is your end goal here?
The end goal is to get get from point A to point B. But in order to get to point B, you need to adjust your point of view, your perspective. So your controls are shifting the camera angle. And in the article, the review article that I wrote, I mentioned like a Lakitu style camera. So you're like shifting it so it's looking from another angle. And what that does is it lines up your pathways differently because you're looking at it from a different perspective. And once you've lined it up, and it also changes based on where you're standing. So if you're standing, let's say there's point A, B, and C. If you're standing on point B and you shift the perspective, the path might not line up. You have to be standing in point A for the path to line up. So the finally get to point D all the way at the end.
Oh, a little sinuous sacrifice. It's all about perspective, right?
That's fair enough, yes.
I keep comparing this game to other games. That's not fair. Now, I know you love puzzle games, but you would like a little bit more hand-holding, but did you still find this one enjoyable?
It was enjoyable. There was still bugs. So there was a puzzle where I got to the end and I went through the doorway, and he didn't. In the previous puzzles, he went to the doorway and disappeared, and then the game would load up the next puzzle. In this case, he walked through the doorway and then kept on walking, and then he turned a corner as if he was on a stairway and started walking in the other direction and walked clear off the screen.
Oh, so it's a little bit of bugs yet. But like you said, it's a beta.
Yep.
Sounds like. So it's not the final product. But
And like all Steam games, when you're on beta, they give you that little pause, go to the menu, and you can click on it, and it says report a bug. Love it.
Oh.
I love it when the developers keep that in mind and say, okay, we're still in beta, we're still doing cleaning up, let's give them the opportunity to report it. Yeah, it's crowdsourced quality assurance, but hey, I'd rather have a better game in the end.
That's awesome, man. So again, the game is Aarik in the Ruined Kingdom. Sounds like a decent recommendation from you, especially when they get when they polish it up a little bit.
Plus, it's a cheap game. It's a quick game. No harm there. You'll buy it and either you'll walk away from it and say no skin off my back, or you'll play it for a few hours, get to the end, and say that was fun for $8. Take it.
Sounds good, man. Well, thanks so much for checking that one out for us. I appreciate it, and we'll catch you next time. All right?
Sure will. See ya.
Thank you, guys. Very quickly, want to say hello to some new Facebook members, Andy Stray. And also, as a reminder, our Discord server, I try to say Discord? Our Discord server is live and thriving, and you can find that link in the show notes for this episode. Leave us a review if possible, and also check out our website, thegamingoutsider.com. There you can find all of our written content, all of our episodes, and Mark's review of Skeller Boy is up. You can read that now. I already mentioned it, but my review of Steel Seeds demo is available, as is my review of Pacific Rim and Universal Pinball TV Classics from Zen Studios, and lastly, Alyssa's review of Autopsy Simulator. Those are all available on the website for you right now. With that, let's go ahead and jump into this week's From the Outside In topic. This week, our From the Outside In topic is all about handheld gaming, portable gaming, or whatever you want to call it. I'm not necessarily talking about gaming on our phones, but I wouldn't rule it out by any means. But my thoughts gravitate towards handheld consoles as late as the Switch, but even as far back as the Game Boy and maybe even earlier. I'm not sure if there was anything handheld before the Game Boy, but I'm sure Zack will educate on that. So a lot of people just don't like to play portably for a number of reasons, but I want to know how you guys feel. Do you like to play on the go, or would you rather be in front of your TV or computer monitor? Alyssa, what do you think?
Okay, so I would much rather play in front of the TV, but if I had to choose between playing in front of a PC or playing on my Steam Deck, I'm going to play on the Steam Deck.
Interesting. You don't like to sit at a TV monitor in a gaming chair?
Well, I have a very uncomfortable chair, and that's one reason why.
I could remedy that for you.
I have to save money to get a chair.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
I lost my train of thought, but anyway, like when I play in front of a TV, I don't even play on a couch or anything. I'm sitting on the floor playing in front of my TV. I just feel more calm that way. I don't know, like
that sounds so uncomfortable. Sitting on the floor?
Yeah, with my back against my bed because my gaming systems are in my bedroom. So that's how I've always played, even since I was a kid.
I was gonna say that's like total kid energy.
Yeah.
On the floor playing
So
video games.
I can't switch now. But if I'm playing handheld, then I'm laying on the bed, like on my stomach, playing. I have weird posture when I play games. So then when I'm playing in front of a PC, I'm stuck in this chair, and I don't have the freedom of, stretching out or being on the floor. I guess I just like freedom. But anyway, I'd rather play on the TV than handheld, unless it's between the PC and the Steam Deck. I'd rather play on the Steam Deck.
Gotcha. Zack, what about you?
Yeah, I'm all about the TV gaming. Portable gaming is kind of it's an accoutrement, an accompaniment. It is nice to have like the Switch or something while you're going to work. But if I'm at home, my choices are going to be, I'm always going to be trying to use the TV. it's nice to have those other options. For some reason, I am much like Alyssa, where I feel like even if I did have a nice gaming PC, I would rather play on my Steam Deck.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe it's just like sitting at a desk playing on a computer. It just feels too, I don't know. It feels too wrong on my mind.
Well,
too business-like. I don't know.
I was going to say, if you've
like
ever
recall working or something, yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Like, even sitting here, I got like a kind of a cube. I literally have cubicle walls on my podcast booth. So sitting at a computer to me makes me feel like I'm sitting at work.
Right. So there's some kind of psychology at play for us, you're saying?
Yeah, but I feel like we're in the minority because some people really genuinely prefer to sit at a mouse and keyboard at their desk leaning forward kind of thing. But we're also not hardcore PC players. I'm not knocking PC gamers whatsoever. So
I was going to say, I also just love the clean simplicity of Steam Deck goes a long way.
I just really like my couch. I love, me gaming is sitting on my butt with my feet up. You know what I mean? And I can't do that on a PC. But that's not even what we're. It sounds like we're like knocking PC gaming. That's not at all what this conversation was supposed to be. So you much prefer the TV experience over the handheld experience?
Yeah, definitely. What about you?
I'm very much the same, but I feel like there are moments where I would prefer to have the handheld device even when I'm at home. Like, I've been home by myself for this entire week while my wife has been gone on a cruise. And I could very easily come down here and sit in my basement and with my Switch. But for whatever reason, I sat up on the couch and played Paper Mario with this thing right in front of my face.
Yeah, you love the couch.
Well, I mean, it's a couch up there too. That's a recliner, so my feet are up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, that is interesting. Yeah, because I've definitely done that with as I've played through these Trails games on Switch a few times. Just even though the TV's right there in front of me, for some reason I just want to like lay down on the couch and play those games.
Yeah, there's something about like I can't lay down on my back. Like I can lay down. Even I can do it in bed. Lay down with just a pillow propped up, and I can hold it in front of my face, and then I can just power it off, put it aside, and go to sleep. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
But we haven't really got into like the portability aspect of it. That we've talked about like playing at home. Clearly, being able to play portably is super convenient, especially for traveling. I don't know what I did in the 80s and 90s on long car rides. You know what I mean? I did eventually get Game Boy and that kind of thing, but I feel like we'd be so spoiled nowadays. Having like a full-blown game. I mean, don't get me wrong, Game Boy games were pretty cool. We had nothing else at the time. But imagine being able to have what you have on a TV to carry around with you. It's just like,
right.
It's so nice.
Dude, I do love you're trying to play like Game Boy or Game Boy Color in the car when you're a kid, and you're just like you're hoping each street light, like move 3 steps every street light, because you can't see otherwise.
Oh,
those are
or trying
time to be alive.
Trying to get your gaming in before the sun goes down, so that you got
right,
and then having to like position yourself in your car seat so that the sun is not glaring, but it's also shining enough on there that you can see.
Yeah,
you guys are so lucky. I couldn't do that. Even as a kid, I'd get motion sickness if I tried to play a game or read or anything in the car. So
I would get car sick reading in the car. I feel like I just forced my way through it with gaming because there was nothing that was going to keep me from playing a game if I could help it. The worst was if you ran out of batteries on a car and then you had to wait till you get to a rest stop to go to buy more batteries.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, buying batteries, right?
Mm-hmm.
What a throwback.
Yeah. I mean, now I just like have a portable charger that I, if my Switch dies, but yeah, that's kind of crazy.
I mean, yeah, because I have an hour-long bus ride to and from work every day, so the Switch has been really nice. I would probably have never gotten through these Trails games without those bus rides.
Does it make you like not hate commutes?
Yeah, right. Because like sometimes my partner will pick me up from work, and like there's definitely like in the on very rare occasions, but and those times I'm like, man, it's kind of costing me an hour of Trails though.
I gotta talk to my significant other.
Right? Yeah. Well, and it's like when I'm at home, I want to take advantage of being home, so I want to play the video games on PlayStation or Xbox.
Right.
So yeah, it's just funny that definitely does. That is definitely a thought I have where I'm like, man, it's really cut into my Switch time.
Do you ever like play on lunch or at work? Or?
Oh yeah, every day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'll try to, and like if I'm in the middle, if like I had to stop on the bus, right, like in an exciting story moment, or like I'm in the middle of a run on Rogue Prince of Persia, I will definitely I will scarf down that lunch so that I can take as much gaming time as possible during my lunch break.
You get a full hour?
No, 30 minutes.
I've
never had a job with a full hour lunch.
I only get 40 minutes at school, and it's like, man.
The half-hour lunch break kind of sucks, right? You barely got enough time to get your food ready and eat it by the time, it doesn't feel very relaxing, is what I'm saying.
Nah, yeah. I would like to be able to eat and then just kind of sit and do nothing for a little while. You know what I mean?
Actually rest.
Right. Instead, you're like scarfing down food.
Yeah.
But, makes meal prep a thing, though.
Understood.
By the way, you're talking about the street lights and everything like that. I was lucky enough to have a light boy. Do you remember those things?
It's like I know I had that little like the worm light you would plug in and it to your Game Boy or whatever.
Oh, the light boy was like basically a magnifying glass that clipped to the top of your Game Boy, so it made the screen bigger, but it also had a light that shone down on the screen, so it would light up.
Wow, okay.
It wasn't actually like officially licensed Nintendo thing, and I thought that made car trips so much better.
That's revolutionary. I wish I had one of those.
Well, and then remember later on, then the Game Boy Advance came out and it had a backlit screen, and it was like, oh, this is amazing.
Only with the SP revision, right? The original Game Boy Advance didn't.
Oh, you're right. I forgot about that. Forgot about that, man. How did they go to the Game Boy Advance and not come out swinging with a backlight?
Right. But you know what it made? It made everybody who had a Game Boy Advance buy an SP though.
Oh yeah, those little square ones.
Yeah,
the ones you flipped open.
I had one of those SP ones that was designed after the NES controller.
Oh yeah, I had that one too. Yeah,
and I sold it, and I'm so mad at myself because that thing was awesome. And it's probably worth so much more money now. But
you know what I always wanted. So I went to Best Buy to buy a 3DS. Mm-hmm. It was because they had a Mario and Luigi. They were almost stenciled on to the top of it.
I remember that one. Yeah.
And it was super classy and really cool. And online it said they had them, and then when I went there, I was like, "Hey, I saw this Mario online." He's like, "Oh yeah, dude, somebody bought that 30 minutes ago."
Oh, you buy it online.
Aww.
And then I was so disheartened that I just spent the money on other stuff and then never got a 3DS.
That's the reason you never got a 3DS.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Dude, I really enjoyed it.
I really wanted that 3DS, dude. I don't know. As soon as I saw it announced or whatever, I fell in love with it. So I don't know. I was so dejected.
Oh, that's sad, man.
Online shopping wasn't as reliable back then.
That's true.
Yeah.
And it was a Nintendo limited edition product, so it was probably sold out online already anyway.
Yeah. Actually, I don't have that anymore. I had it and I sold it. I was hard up and it wasn't Zelda, so I sold it.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people don't like to play portably for a number of reasons, but I want to know how you guys feel. I already asked that question. I'm gonna pretend I didn't say that because I just totally Ron Burgundy that. Back that up. What are some of your most memorable or favorite portable consoles from over the years? Alyssa, let's start with you.
I really love the Game Boy Color because that was my first handheld console, and that's where I played Pokemon Red. Story behind that is I was in 2nd grade, I believe, when I got mine. And all my friends had it. I did not. I got pneumonia. So then, I guilt tripped my parents and told them I think I'll feel better if I get a Game Boy Color with Pokemon Red, because our local bookstore, which is still here, Books A Million. I remember vividly they had this table set up there, and they had Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue on it, and they were divided. And I'd always pass by that table, and I was so jealous because my friends had that game, and I was like, I really want that. So, my parents, I don't know if I doubt they fell for it. They probably just felt sorry for me for having to go through pneumonia. Got me one, along with Pokemon Red and a strategy guide. I love that thing to death. I played only Pokemon games on it, by the way. Also really liked my Game Boy Advance SP. Nintendo 3DS. I love Nintendo handhelds.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't really have any of the consoles. But handhelds, loved them. I loved my 3DS, and I played a ton of games on that, especially DS games because it was backwards compatible. and then I love my Switch and Steam Deck. Those are really all of the handhelds I've had, and I've loved every single one.
All right, Zach.
Well, I think my handheld journey starts when me and my brothers all got Game Boys at the same time. I want to say it was Game Boy Color, maybe, but might not have been. I don't remember. Either way, we got our Game Boys, but it was cool because my stepdad Bob, shout out Bob, he bought us each a Game Boy, gave them to us, and then we got to pick from Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow.
Aww.
So we each got our own Pokemon.
You each got a different color?
Yeah, which was kind of cool. I took red. My brother Brandon took blue, and then our youngest brother Brian took yellow. Because it was cool. So just a fun memory.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Did you have the link cables? Was that still a thing with the color?
Like you could use it. Yeah.
You traded Pokemon. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it was cool. And then but the Game Boy Advance SP is really like the first one I really remember like loving. Because I had a Game Boy Advance, and I really did like Game Boy Color. There were Zelda games on it for crying out loud. What's not to love?
Mm-hmm.
But the SP with the backlit screen, and especially I love the square shape and the flip open thing.
Yeah,
just felt so cool, man. I took that thing everywhere.
Yeah, but I still think the ergonomical design of the original felt better. You know what I mean?
I'm saying for whatever reason, for me, the square format I like worked for my hands a lot. Loved it a lot. Maybe I have smaller hands than you. I mean, that's what it is.
Oh, you were a kid, also.
Yeah, fair enough. But then after the GBA SP, I was converted from the Nintendo family of handhelds to the PlayStation. All about that PSP. And I did play a lot of DS games. I feel like maybe just like borrowing them from friends and stuff. I don't remember ever owning my own DS. But I do remember playing games on there, like the Mario and Luigi games, for instance. But I was all in on the PSP, loved it. I'm playing those JRPGs left and right. Plenty of Final Fantasy games on there. Playing Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, even though I don't know anything about Kingdom Hearts. I didn't know what was happening in that story, but I love playing that game. Or playing the hell out of Crisis Core. That game was amazing. The Grand Theft Auto games on PSP are exceptional. Like, just a lot to love on PSP. And then, dude, I loved the Vita. Absolutely in love with the Vita. It was such a special console that PlayStation murdered by charging $80 for memory cards.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what an own goal, dude. Like, there was no obstacle to that console other than those memory cards.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure I've told this story here, but working at GameStop when it was coming out, and almost everybody, I would say 98% of people who had a Vita pre-ordered, when they came in to pick it up and they learned about the memory cards, just canceled the whole purchase.
I mean, it's like an extra. It's like how much were Vitas new? That had to have been like another like quarter of the price of the console.
Right. Well, I was gonna say, I think the cheapest memory card, which was enough to like install one game, was like $40. So, but people, human beings tend to be they used to at least be able to tell when a scam was happening. It was pretty clear that you were getting had by Sony in a pretty significant way.
Mm-hmm.
But my buddy Savi was importing the biggest size memory card from Japan because they were cheaper in Japan, and they had a bigger size one than we did. So he imported one, and I did as well, and I never had to worry about memory. So I got a Vita. Love the Vita, dude. It was, the Vita games themselves were, a lot of fun. Uncharted Gold Abyss or the Killzone game on there. I still think is the best Killzone game. Period. Killzone Mercenary.
It's crazy. Like better than the PS3 ones.
I think so. I love Killzone Mercenary. It was great. Maybe it was the portability, and because the missions were designed to be beaten in like 10 or 15 minutes. It was just so satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of great, and then you had the full digital backwards compatibility with PSP games. So any PSP game you bought digitally, you could play, or any PS1 classic you bought on PS3 could be played on Vita. It's just a really magical time, and it had this really cool feature that is really obsolete with the advent of the Switch. But you could move your saves from Vita to PS3.
Whoa!
If it was the same game.
Oh, that's cool.
I mean, that's like cloud saving is doing that now, but like that seemed like that was a huge deal back then.
It felt magical back then, right? Because in some games you would only buy once, and you would get the Vita and the PS3 versions of them, like Sound Shapes.
Mm-hmm.
So you could just kind of seamlessly move your saves back and forth, and it felt like magic at the time. like that's how I played through Sly Cooper Thieves in Time, the fourth one. I had it on Vita and PS3, and I would just go back and forth between the consoles.
It was a Switch before a Switch was a thing.
Right. It was, and then, and like the Switch still to this day, every time I put the Switch on the dock and it shows on the TV, I am filled with childlike wonder. Like, it just feels impossible.
Yep.
But then,
I purposely like turn the TV on first, take the thing out of it, turn it on, and then just drop it in there to see it just pop up.
Dude, it just makes our little brains, hit some dopamine. I guess.
44 years old and they still do that.
Yeah, it's wonderful. But yeah, I feel like in the past year or so, I've gotten really back into portable gaming. I've really played a lot of stuff on Switch. The Steam Deck, dude, the Steam Deck is also pure magic. I'm absolutely in love with the Steam Deck.
Mm-hmm.
It gives me those Vita feelings of just being like immediately in love with a piece of tech.
Well, especially because it's opened up an entire library that was closed off to you before. That's where I am.
Right. That's incredibly helpful. Well, yeah, there are games I would currently be sad about not playing if I didn't, invest in the Steam Deck.
There's going to be a Prince of Persia game that you wouldn't be able to play, but
right now, I would have quit the podcast. It was that would have been hard to not have access to. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But man, I don't know why, but portable gaming, it must be the bus ride. But yeah, the past year or so, I've really gotten into portable gaming again.
Nice. I was a Nintendo handheld kid, much like Alyssa. I've never owned a PlayStation portable console, PSP or Vita. I think I've played a PSP once.
Oh, sorry, I think my heart just broke.
I've never even held a Vita in my hands. I don't think. Which is,
do you want me? I'm going to shove it in your hand when you visit.
All right, I would. Yeah, I actually would like to play like the Uncharted game and see what that looks like. Isn't that the one that has got the touch on the back and you can like climb the ropes or something?
Yeah,
that's right. I just want to. I remember when that thing was announced. That was when I first started listening to podcasts, and I think I remember Jeff Kanata talking about that console, and I was like, I want to play one of those so bad, but I was not in the market. I wasn't on a podcast. I didn't have to own every console back then. You know what I mean? So.
It was like in that game you have to like hold the Vita up to a light source to like see through paper that Nathan's looking at.
Get out!
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man.
That's awesome.
I should download Tearaway. That's really takes advantage of the Vita. Like if you like because the Vita has a rear touchpad as well, and like there's part of that games where you have to kind of like rip through because Tearaway's in a paper world, and you use the back touchpad and you see your fingers rip through the screen. And,
that's awesome!
Around. It's really clever, man.
It's like the Sony thing. They just do all like look at the DualShock or DualSense 5 or the DualSense controller. All that stuff. I feel like it's not used in. There's so much of that's not used in games outside of that Astrobot game.
Right. Well, yeah, the rear touchpad was especially a victim of that.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, there's not really a lot of use cases for it.
Right.
Yeah. But Tearaway's a special game. It would also like take pictures of you while you're playing, but it wouldn't tell you. But then it would like you come across the sun or something, and the sun's burnt out, and it's like, oh, we need like a happy memory in order to make this light up. It'll just show a picture of you from earlier in the game when you were playing.
As you as the sun.
As you as the sun, but it happened to be like when something adorable happened and I smiled, so like there I was smiling as the sun.
And they did that on purpose. They did it at a point where like
because they assume most people will be smiling at the moment, right?
Yeah.
It's so clever, man.
It's like Teletubbies again.
The Tearaway on Vita is a brilliant game.
Oh, dude, you're making me want to. I'm going to play your Vita when I'm out there.
Yeah, I'll download. Yeah, for sure.
Like I said, I was a Nintendo kid. I grew up with the original Game Boy. I still have an original Game Boy, and that was revolutionary at the time to be able to play games on the go and get about 3 hours of gameplay on 4 AA batteries. But I mean, it's really difficult for me to say that my favorite is not the Switch, just because of the just sheer number of options I have on that console. I can play it as a console on my TV. I can play the classic games. I can play full-blown awesome games on this thing. It feels good in my hands. Like everything about it is just awesome. But from a nostalgia standpoint, it's got to be that Game Boy Advance. I mean, like you said, the SP was awesome, but I had the Game Boy Advance that was modded, so it actually had a backlit screen. Like on that, so I still had the ergonomical thing for me. So just lots of memories on that. But no, I've got the most nostalgia for the original Game Boy though. There's just no way. We'll get into the specific games in a second, but there's just car rides, like we mentioned earlier. That was just the way it was. I remember going on a school trip, and my principal telling me to put on my headphones because I was playing Metroid 2, and the noise was just annoying the crap out of him. Which I could imagine, like if you're not watching that game, it's just pew 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 over and over again. It's got to be annoying, and all those background noise. It's great, but let's get into the games. We kind of tease it a little bit. Any favorites that come to mind, or do you have any series that maybe you were introduced to on a portable console? Let's start with Alyssa.
Well, of course, I mentioned Pokemon Red and Silver. Those were my favorite Pokemon games, and that introduced me to the Pokemon franchise. I really loved playing the Phoenix Wright games. I played them on 3DS. Most of them are DS games, but played them on 3DS and fell in love with that series. I loved the witty dialogue. I loved gathering the evidence and going to court, and I loved yelling "objection" into the microphone. Which my parents
you actually
always,
could say it?
Yeah, you can yell it into the microphone, and my parents would always be like, "What are you doing? Why are you yelling?" I'm like, "It's part of the game," and they're like, "Okay." Fire Emblem Awakening, I played that on the 3DS, and that was my first Fire Emblem game, and I fell in love with that series. Theater Rhythm, I really like that game on 3DS. It's a Final Fantasy game, and you have to hit the buttons in time so the song plays correctly, and it would show like clips from the game and music video footage in the background. It was just, and then you had a little chibi character like running along the bottom too, and it was adorable. Those were ones that really stuck out to me as portable games that I really enjoyed and that were favorites of mine. Really played a lot of the Phoenix Wright games, like every single one on handheld 3DS.
Nice. How about you, Zach?
Oh boy. Well, the Mario Luigi games are fresh in my mind because of the new announcement. But I did play the hell out of Superstar Saga back in the day.
There wasn't a bad one. They were all good.
Yeah. Well, I can't speak for the 3DS ones.
Yeah.
Because I was, but yeah, the Superstar Saga I remember playing, a few times with the time allotted to you as a child.
Yeah. Right.
That was an RPG I fell in love with. The Pokemon games were obviously, it was hard to be a kid and not fall in love with Pokemon. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, it was a Pokemon trading card game that really lit my fire.
Really?
Yeah.
I tried to play that one, and I just wasn't smart enough.
Yeah, I think it was because I feel like every kid had Pokemon cards back then. You're right. They would get like the school would put out rules about not bringing them to the class, but no friends I had wanted to actually play the game with the rules.
Yeah,
like they just wanted to trade cards.
Oh, really?
And I wanted to play the actual friggin' game with using energy costs and stuff, but nobody wanted to play with me. So I could in the Pokemon trading card game, video game though.
Mm-hmm. How does that work if you're playing Pokemon the game with somebody? Like, how do you keep track of what cards are whose? Like, you don't want to write on them clearly.
Well, I think they don't like steal your cards or anything very often.
Oh, there's not you're not stacking them on a deck. You're just placing them in front of you.
No, you're using your own deck against their deck.
Oh, yeah, okay. So they're not mixing up. Okay, I've never played, so I don't know how it works. I think your card game, and I think they're going to get shuffled and. Oh
no! So it's a deck building game.
Okay,
you would call it, right?
All right. I'm completely ignorant to Pokemon. If you can't tell.
My introduction to Mega Man was Game Boy Advance. Was Mega Man 0.
Oh,
that's
how
I met the franchise, which is why. It's probably why those are my favorite sub-series of Mega Man.
Did you ever go back and play the originals or Mega Man X? Or?
Yeah, I've played. I can't say I've played every Mega Man, but I've played many a Mega Man game. Yeah, okay. I want to say I definitely played X 1 through 5.
Okay.
Or I definitely played all the PS1 Mega Man X games.
So there's only one PS1.
The X5.
X4 was on PS1, and then X5.
I could have swore X5 was on.
Maybe I'm wrong. I will double check. I thought that was when it went to PS2.
Maybe I really thought it was like X7 was PS2, but maybe I'm wrong. You can correct me. Regardless,
you're much more reliable when it comes to this kind of stuff. So.
I don't think that's true for Mega Man. I would definitely trust you before me on Mega Man.
No, it was original PlayStation. You're right.
Yeah, because I think I remember because on the cover it was like X with Zero Saber.
Yeah, no, that was 6, which was also an original PlayStation.
All right, what up now?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, and then I think there was some kind of compilation on PS2 where I played the first few. Anyway, yeah, Mega Man Zero. I love the little elf system. Great game. Hard. I remember being very hard. I had a soft spot for Boktai.
Boktai,
which is a Hideo Kojima produced portable game where you had to go out and play in the sun to charge up a solar sensor.
Oh, I remember you telling me about that. Yeah.
And then that would you would power your, I don't remember what it was called, but it was like a gun that shot with the power of the sun, so you could kill vampires.
Oh.
But you actually had to play in the sun, and then you would only have so long to play it at night before you would run out of solar energy. What a unique concept
that could never be done again. Like where else would that be a thing?
Yeah, without I don't know. I feel like kids are barely allowed outside anymore.
That's true.
Without parental supervision, so I don't know how you would even play. And then plenty of PSP games I fell in love with. I do remember like it is hard to imagine now, but like, dude, it was mind blowing. It broke your brain to think of that the Grand Theft Auto PS2 maps were running on a portable console.
Yeah,
with Liberty City Stories and Vice City Stories, right? It was the same city that you're playing on PS2, but somehow they fit it onto a PSP disc. Like it didn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
So that was mind-boggling as well. So yeah, I mean I'm sure there's a million games I'm forgetting. Oh my god, all the Zelda games on Game Boy Color, right?
Yeah,
Link's Awakening. Well, that was on Game Boy, right? And then they had the Color Dungeon on Game Boy Color.
The Oracle of Ages, Oracle of Seasons.
Yeah, but those were both incredible. I mean, Minish Cap was later on Game Boy Advance, but that was also an exceptional video game.
Seriously, one of the most underrated Zelda games. Like,
right?
Nobody ever talks about that game, and it was legitimately awesome.
Yeah, it was exceptional. I mean, Link's Awakening is still one of my favorite Zelda games.
Yeah,
that game was something special. It was weird too, right? Like you had like Mario characters in there.
Yeah,
I think there was Chain Chomp, right? Yeah. Just what a weird video game. Loved it to death though.
Didn't you wind up getting a bow for that Chain Chomp? That quest where you had to trade objects and
because every Zelda back then had a trading quest, right?
Yeah, I think that was the first one that did, I believe.
Right.
Or no?
I know Ocarina had one, but that would obviously be after. Yeah, but so did Link's Awakening start that tradition?
I believe so, because Zelda 1 didn't do it, obviously. Well, Link to the Past kind of did, but it was more like, it wasn't like a full-blown chain of it. It was like you'd have to bring this thing to a character and they'd give you an item kind of thing, but it wasn't like connect.
Yeah, well, I definitely trust you there. And the thing I really remember the most from PSP Vita was getting to being able to play PS1 classics and play games I missed out on, like Vagrant Story or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was just it was cool for history as well. You should have had a PlayStation portable. Yeah, I really miss it.
Well, I don't know if I told. Maybe I did own 2 PSPs, but not in a traditional sense. There was a teacher at my school that got fired. He was a special ed teacher, and he had left behind. He had 2 PSPs in his classroom that he used for some educational purposes, and they were going to throw them on. I'm like, I will take those, and they wound up being worthless. He had them jailbroken in a way that was not able to reverse it. Like he was to have whatever educational stuff on there that he wanted, or maybe he, like I said, had him hacked to play games. But yeah, so I did own 2 at one point, but they were pretty much bricked. Basically, I couldn't even get them to power on. So I was like, man, this is my one shot to have a PlayStation Portable, and can't anymore.
Well, what portable games come to mind for you?
You mentioned Link's Awakening. What a memorable game! I mean, like the fact that they remade that game on Switch just shows a testament of how powerful that game was back then. Just the sheer scope of what you could do in that game. Think how long that game was on a tiny little cartridge. I know those cartridges are bigger than Switch cartridges are now, but at that time, like if you go back and play any other Game Boy games, they all just feel like inferior in terms of scope. That there just wasn't as much to them. That was one thing I didn't mention in the games we've been catching up on. I actually went back again and played some Game Boy games. I played baseball on what a turd that game. That game is not. It is barely fun. I don't even understand how this works, but that's all we had. You know what I mean?
Holy crap! Do you remember Mario Golf? The RPG one.
I didn't play Mario Golf until the Game Boy Advance one. That was the one that I felt like was like RPG-ish. Was the Game Boy one?
I think most of the portable ones were RPG-ish. Yeah, it was so fun.
It was great. I like the GameCube Mario Golf as well too. It's crazy. I don't like golf in real life, but I love golf video games. It's just insane. I remember vividly watching the commercial on TV for Super Mario Land 2, where they introduced Wario. Do you remember the commercial? Maybe you guys were.
No,
I don't remember it.
You're gonna have to YouTube it later.
We were probably barely walking.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Came out.
So the commercial was Wario staring at the screen with like a hypnotic thing behind him, and he was like trying to hypnotize the audience, saying, "Obey me, Wario. I'm your master. Mario is your enemy." And this is how they introduced Wario, and it was like they made another one. You have bunny ears? No, I was just blown away, and especially after playing Mario Land, which was such a weird Mario game. Like it just the controls didn't stick quite as well. Still fun, but Mario Land 2, the search, is it like the 6 golden coins or something like that?
6 golden coins, yeah.
Was an awesome game. I really, really liked that one a lot. I mean, none of us mentioned Tetris. I feel like that was the reason to own a Game Boy back in the 90s, was to play Tetris. And I wasn't a huge Tetris person, but the fact that I could play it in the car or whatever, and plus that soundtrack was like superior on the Game Boy for whatever reason. I can hear it in my head right now. It's so good. You mentioned the Mario and Luigi games already. Super Mario Pinball Land. Again, I mentioned that when we were talking about pinball. Was a fantastic little pinball game. I loved that one so much. Metroid 2.
Oh yeah, sure.
Metroid 2 was another dense game. Like it was a pretty massive world with a very iconic soundtrack. That was I'm telling you guys ones that aren't crazy. Like these are going to be on a lot of people's minds.
Well, sure, or Zero Mission and Fusion, right? Those are 2 incredible Metroid games as well.
Fusion was also on my list. Yes.
I really, I think there's something I love about playing a gear gated game on a portable console.
Yeah,
like a 2D one. It just kind of feels right to me. Because I loved Aria of Sorrow as well. Castlevania game on GBA.
I got to go back and finish those. I have the collection now.
I can't. I don't really remember the rest, but I remember Aria of Sorrow being pretty cool.
Yeah, it's hard to remember, differentiate. They kind of all run together.
Yeah, but I feel like that one, if I'm remembering right, all right, I'm not swearing on the Bible here, but I think you absorbed like the monster's souls, and so you could like use monsters' powers. So it's kind of like, it was almost like a little collecting mechanic in a Castlevania game. And then,
yeah, it was like because the enemies, like if you defeat enough of them, or if you get lucky, you absorb their power, and then you're able to like switch that to that power if you want.
Yes, yeah. And then I remember, because it played into the story as well.
Yeah,
I obviously won't.
And then you basically had like a codex of all the enemies that you defeated.
Mm-hmm. It was kind of like a weird Pokemon gotta catch them all thing, but in the middle of this Castlevania game. Is pretty cool.
Do you guys remember the game? I think it was on 2DS or no DS. It was just DS. Hotel Dusk.
Yes.
Oh yes.
Where
you had to hold it like a book.
You held it like a book, and that was just such a novel concept when I was a kid. I don't even
novel.
I really didn't even mean to do that.
Yeah, well, and the art style was that like kind of scratchy hand style. Yeah, I would love to, because they did those that other one the company did, Trace Memory.
I've wanted to play those for forever.
Right, they did the remakes on Switch earlier this year. Like, let's get Hotel Dusk out there, man. That would be
I
awesome.
love that.
That would be cool.
It'd be harder to do now, but if you were to do the book format, but
well, yeah, you probably have to abandon that, but
yeah,
it was still great. It was a great game.
I don't know if you guys ever played Elite Beat Agents. I played that on the DS. It was just a rhythm game. It was just random rhythm games, like because it was back when the DS had the stylus built into it. I guess they all did, but it was a tapping game where like you had to tap things in rhythm, or you had to tap on this, and That's all you did was tap stuff to the rhythm, but it was super addicting and one of those like try to get 3 stars kind of situations. That was pretty awesome. I will say, I got a Game Gear for Christmas one year, and I wish I had a video of my reaction when I opened that Game Gear because I was just beyond excited.
Oh yeah,
I was just so excited, and then I played it.
Oh no.
Now, granted, I wasn't much of a Sega person, but I had played Genesis. My best friend Dave had one, and he let me borrow it. And I played a ton of Sonic Spinball and a ton of Sonic 1, 2, and 3. But the Sonic on Game Gear was not the same game, and it just felt like kind of a rip-off, and I just remember feeling very, very disappointed. And I could not even tell you another game I played on Game Gear. Like maybe Lion King. It's just that console was so unmemorable for me. But
so not a great investment as a gift for you, huh?
Well, they don't know that. They don't. I mean,
They do now.
Yeah, they're listening.
Oh,
My
yeah.
parents are definitely listening to this. So those are the big ones that come to mind. But
speaking of Sega, do you remember Sonic Chronicles of the Dark Brotherhood, the Sonic RPG developed by BioWare
no,
on DS? Yeah,
I hope you're educating Kevin right now because that would be amazing. If
There's
he does.
no he's played the hell out of Sonic Brotherhood, I'm sure.
I didn't know there was such a thing as.
Or Sonic
didn't
Chronicles. Yeah, you could even romance Amy if I'm remembering right. Yeah, as Sonic, but yeah, it was a Sonic RPG, dude, and it was pretty cool. And it is a shame that it is stranded on DS because it's a ton of fun, and I think people would really like it. So Sega, I know you're listening.
Yeah, announce that. Like put that on
port
Switch
that
or
over.
something. Yeah.
You could probably lie to most people and just tell them it's a brand new game made by BioWare, and people would believe you. I feel like so few people played it.
Anyway, that's what we thought of our topic. Let's see what the community said. We got a bunch of comments on this one. Starting over on Facebook, Troy Heinrich says, I feel like Steam Deck is too heavy and Switch suffers from poor controls in the Joy-Cons. If Switch 2 can get a slightly bigger display with the same weight and Pro Controller level quality controls, it will be a great system. And I don't have issues with the Steam Deck or the Switch personally.
I say it's wild to read a comment that's just like wrong every sentence, every word of the sentence,
What was the line from the movie? Or what movie was it? It was like every sentence that you just said was it's Star Wars.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah. Every word you just said was wrong.
Yeah,
I'm not calling you wrong, Troy. I just am saying I don't agree.
I am. I think the Steam. I love the weight of the Steam Deck. I think it feels like a powerful piece of technology.
I agree. Actually, I like how meaty it feels in my hand, and
yeah, meaty.
Yeah.
Meaty.
And like even how far apart my hands are, I wouldn't think that would feel comfortable, but it does with the Steam.
Like it feels like you're understanding why this thing can run, an Elden Ring or a Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Like it feels like it needs that weight and that meat to it to handle it.
Do you ever play the Switch docked and then you just have the Joy-Cons in either hand and just like have them on either side of your body instead of like in front of you like this? Like you just kind of like hang out like this and do it?
Yeah, well, I feel like when I do that, I feel like I do exaggerated poses on purpose just because I can.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, so I definitely do that. Absolutely.
Alyssa, you want to read the next one?
Sure. Chase Jensen writes in, the most comfortable gaming experience for me will always be the couch TV combo, with my desk and gaming rig coming in a close second. Having said that, I'm a mobile-first gamer these days. When I run errands, I stick a retro emulation handheld in my pocket. For longer trips, it's the Steam Deck or ROG Ally. I have a slightly ridiculous amount of handheld consoles, both first-party and third-party emulation devices. I play on the couch, in bed, and embarrassingly, sometimes sitting at my desk in front of my gaming rig. The freedom to play a game while Christina Flores and I are watching a movie on the couch or chair is great. Being able to go into my son's room with the ROG Ally and knock out some Rocket League matches or a couple hours of the Planet Crafter while I lounge on his bed is great. I'm excited to see what the future of handheld gaming brings, especially with PC Windows handhelds becoming more mainstream every day. P.S. I only emulate copies of games which I physically own cartridges/discs, many of which I physically dumped. I don't sail the high seas.
No, Chase, that's a heroic move, sir. I love the visual of him sitting in front of his gaming rig with a Steam Deck.
Yeah, right.
It's just been like, well,
like you play on a big monitor, but you're gonna actually have the Steam Deck.
That's pretty funny.
He also mentions being able to watch it while you're with a significant other if they're watching something and you're like kind of half watching, or maybe you've seen it before. That's huge for me because my wife. It's more so like back when we were watching TV with commercials, and I just refused to watch commercials, especially in today's day and age. But when we did, or if we had TV that there was no other option, I'd pull out the handheld. Speaking of,
right?
The one Nintendo handheld we haven't talked about. The Wii U.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Even though it wasn't a portable console, I used it as a portable console.
So few people owned a Wii U.
Yeah.
True. But I used to have the console sit next to me and just play on the tablet like a Switch.
I mean, I bet that felt crazy at the time.
It did. It was like, this is awesome. I can sit here and play a game.
How is this even working?
I actually heard people on podcasts that would bring it on a plane. Like they would actually bring the Wii U and the tablet, as long as they had a power an actual plug.
Right.
Which is crazy.
Well, thank God for the Switch, huh?
Yeah, right.
I wonder if Chase, with all of his handhelds, I wonder if he's got a play date.
Is that the one with the crank on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one with the crank. Yeah.
I've actually heard good things about that console. Like they're not trying to make AAA games clearly.
Obviously, yeah.
But it's like they just release random games weekly. Like they'll just have a game that comes out and check this out.
Yeah, well, I think the way it works is when you buy it, you get 24 games included with your purchase.
Uh-huh.
It'll unlock 2 a week for you.
It's awesome.
So you can't play all 2. It's just 12 weeks of little gifts to yourself.
Yeah.
I think the Playdate sounds cool. I really want to actually play one.
Yeah. Is that how it powers too? Is it powered by cranking it, or is that just an actual mechanic in the game?
I think it's just a fun little mechanic.
Yeah.
I think there's one game where you control the flow of time by cranking either backwards.
That's awesome.
It sounds like a really creative console.
Yeah.
I know Lucas Pope, the guy who did Papers, Please and Return of the Obra Dinn,
Mm-hmm.
he released a game exclusively for the Playdate.
Huh.
Which is crazy to think about.
That is crazy. You want to read the next one, Zack?
Oh, yeah, of course. Sure. Sean Coates writes in, I wasn't much of a portable gamer. Back in the day, I used to have a Game Gear, but I was a black sheep amongst all my schoolmates who owned Game Boys. Even though it was obviously a better console, technically, being a kid in the early 90s, if it wasn't Nintendo, you were ostracized. Years later, I bought myself a PSP and I loved it. Man of fine taste, I see. I took it with me wherever I went. As long as I was near Wi-Fi, it was awesome to browse the web on it. Remember, this was 2005 pre-iPhone, and I owned a lot of UMD movies as well. Which brings us to the present with my Nintendo Switch. I don't use it as often as you think, because every time I'm out and about, I'm always the one driving, not playing.
Yeah, I feel that. By the way, happy birthday, Sean Coates. His birthday was, I believe, yesterday as of this recording.
Happy birthday!
Happy
So
birthday.
He does write for us regularly, so
very sweet guy.
He's a good dude. Yeah,
I do remember the web browser on PSP being like, "What the hell?" Felt weird.
Oh yeah, like the early days of portable web surfing.
Yeah,
I remember the first time I did it on my phone. I'm like, "What is going on?"
Right, it was mind blowing. 2005.
Yeah. Next comment comes from Tim Paulin. The OLED OG Vita is my favorite. Looked great, and remote PS4 play was decent. If it had a second set of triggers, would have been perfect.
That's right. That is the only thing I was missing.
Yeah. I am hoping, they were rumoring that Microsoft was going to do something like this. Where you'd be able to play your Xbox games. I mean, I guess you can with a phone and all that stuff.
I've heard the same thing about PS4 or PlayStation working on some kind of portable PS4 thing where it could play your PS4 games natively.
I thought that's
what digital games.
I thought that's what the Vita did. It didn't do that.
No, you could remote play. You could project your PS4 onto your Vita screen.
Oh.
But the rumor, it's a rumor, so this is even useless to talk about, obviously.
Oh.
But it is basically
when there's a rumor he wants to talk about, we can talk about
I was piggybacking off of your Xbox comment. Thank you very much. But the idea of a portable PS4 equivalent power device sounds magical. A little less exciting now that I have a Steam Deck, I guess. But if it meant that all my digital PS4 purchases just worked wherever I went, this could be a game changer.
Yeah.
Also, Tim, thanks for reminding me. Yeah, the OG Vita had an OLED screen before OLED was hip. Now people won't shut the hell up about OLED screens. But the Vita launched with one, and no one cared back then. But now people, yeah.
It wasn't a buzzword yet.
Yes, it's buzzword. Yeah. Oh, Switch OLED. I guess I got to upgrade my Switch. Oh, the Steam Deck has an OLED. I better, upgrade. It's just so funny. The Vita went from an OLED screen to an LCD one because no one cared about the OLED.
Mm-hmm.
It's just wild to see how times change.
All right, Alyssa, you want to read the next one?
Christy Vasquez Flores writes, "For me personally, I love my Vita, 3DS, 2DS, and the Switch. The Steam Deck is a bit heavy for me, but the improvements since launch have made me not hate it anymore."
What improvements? Like, they've improved the design? I mean, I know they put an OLED screen in the
Sure did.
Steam Deck, didn't they? I don't know. I didn't realize maybe I missed it. Maybe she's talking about the updates to the software. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I knew they did the new one with the OLED screen, but I've never held one to know if they feel different or not.
I don't know. As I said before, I love the way this feels great to hold.
All right, you're up, Zach. We want to go through all these?
Sure. Kevin Honeyford, I've actually struggled with handhelds. For some reason, I really struggle enjoying myself when I'm on them. I wanted a Game Gear so bad when I was a youngling, but then I got the opportunity to use one, and it was just meh. The Switch and the Steam Deck have been somewhat a different story, however. While the standard console TV and laptop PC are still my much preferred methods, the ability to play games that I play on these devices on a handheld when necessary is a game changer and a privilege I love. Yeah,
that's the thing. I think you guys were talking like if I have a choice between play on a console or on my PC, I choose console. All this. If I have a choice to be traveling and to not have something to play, or to have something to play, I'm going to play portably. Like if that's your only option, that's what it's there for. Keep me occupied when I'm not in front of my TV and consoles. Let's see. Andrew Jack says, "I love my Vita. I played most of my PS4 games with it, and I just got a PS3. If a dedicated Xbox handheld comes out, I'll be picking it up for sure." Andrew, I am with you, sir. And Skylar Honigford also says, "DS for life." There were so many good games on DS. That was before they really started getting shovelware like they did on the Wii.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I mean, there were some shovelware games on that one, don't get me wrong. Remember Nintendogs?
Yes,
oh, yeah.
I had that game.
Yeah. That game was huge. And all you just did is pet dogs with a stick. That's like literally all you did in that game, right?
Right. People loved it, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Alyssa?
Matthew J. Is it Mishan?
I don't remember. I'm sorry, Matthew.
I'm so sorry. My wife and I used to have OG Game Boys. We would take them out when we were eating out. We brought the link cable to play games like Othello and Pokemon together.
Oh, Othello, man. That's a old school game. I used to play that on the Atari 2600.
Oh, I don't remember Othello at all.
I don't either.
I mean, it's a board game. It's like it's the one with the black and white chips that flip upside down. And no, it's a
nope.
It kind of looks like the game Go, but it's got a little bit different rule set. The Japanese game.
Okay, I know Go because it appears in K-dramas a lot.
Yeah, it's like that, but with a much simpler rule set than Go does. So.
I want to say there was a manga all about Go.
Yeah
I'm sure there was. Yeah.
But Edwin Smith writes in, handheld systems have been something I've loved since I was a kid and got my first Game Boy Color. I do love my consoles and TV and PC, but I've noticed since having my first child 2 years ago, my Switch and more recent purchases of the ROG Ally started to become my main systems of play because it was very easy to pick up and get a quick little bit of gaming in during naps. Probably some of my favorites are the Game Boy Advance SP, which is the first one to add the backlight into the screen, which is a game changer on car rides when I no longer had to play by the street lights during nighttime on car rides. Everybody knows. The 3DS, 2DS had some really amazing games, and the ability to still play your normal DS games was great. And I have a toss-up between my Switch and ROG Ally because I'm still getting my Nintendo fix of games for my Switch. Just recently got Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I've been having a really blast playing it. And my Ally allows me to take my PC games from Steam, Xbox Game Pass, Good Old Games, and Epic Game Store and play them on the go or anywhere in my house. Has been absolutely amazing. Handhelds will absolutely have a soft spot in my heart. Yeah, I imagine if I was a parent, I'd be a Steam Deck probably my primary console.
Yeah, you can hold a sleeping kid in your arms and play.
I thought Zack was going to be my primary objective over the child.
Well, no doubt. Kick that kid to the curb. But I meant more, you distract him with the TV while you play some Steam Deck. While they're watching frickin' Toy Story for the 400th time. Instead of blowing your brains out, you can play Steam Deck instead.
Why do we, there's so many things to watch. feel like you wouldn't have to watch those same movies over and over again nowadays, right? There's always something new.
But isn't that what kids want to do?
Kids love to watch the same thing over and over.
I think you want to as a kid. I don't think it's like a lack of options that made me watch Aladdin 4
It's like
times.
you love it so much as a kid, you want to experience it over and over and over again.
And well, when I was a kid, it was definitely a lack of options. Like we didn't have any streaming. We had the same VHS tapes, whatever we taped off a TV.
Right. We also had those restrictions, Scott.
Yeah.
We're not that young. I'm just saying. I think kids today probably stream the same thing over and over again.
Oh, I got you.
I've got my younger cousins. I mean, they watch CoComelon over and over and over again.
Yeah, I think it's just how kids work.
TJ Kitsune. I was a big fan of the PSP Go when I traveled a lot for work. It fit perfectly in my pocket. The Vita has become my favorite handheld, though. Collecting the games has been fun, and the little blue cases have some charm to them. The ability to play digital PSP games is a plus. I just wish Sony treated it a little better, even though it had poor sales. The PS TV was awesome to swap between on the go, and console-like gaming before the Switch was a thing. Was hoping Sony would improve upon that, but they dropped it like most things they do. I still collect Vita today, and I'm around 430 physical games.
Wow.
That's
nicely
a lot.
done. And the nice thing about Vita games is those cases are small. Like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, they're
awesome.
Yeah, those were nice.
I was going to say I have like 20 Vita games on cartridge, and I felt cool. But yeah,
you're almost cool. You're like 20.
I'm 400 games away from being cool.
410.
Yeah, 410.
Thank you for the exact math. Yes, I understand that.
What fraction is 20 over 430? You were that percentage cool?
Well, that's not a very nice way to phrase that.
Sorry, CB hasn't been here in a while, and I have to get my.
I see.
Yeah. Alyssa, you want to read the next one?
Yeah. Bill Gardner writes, I've had so many and mostly prefer laying back in my recliner playing on the 65-inch OLED. The TV is now usually occupied by the two 1-year-old girls. Bluey, Sesame Street, and Mrs. Rachel are on screen more than a video game now. These new handheld PCs and the Switch have been a godsend. I keep my Ally and Steam Deck plugged in next to the couch, and I'm able to get an hour or so in here or there with Mrs. Rachel as a podcast for babies in the background. I don't know what I'd do without those devices right now. When we finally get that handheld Xbox, that'll take over, I'm sure.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Every time I see Mrs. Rachel, I just think of Rachel Green.
Yeah, so do I. Miss Rachel?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Jacob Gunderson here?
Yep.
Right. He writes in, I always plan to play on the go if I think there will be time. It doesn't always work out that way, but it does. But if it does, I'm ready. Usually, though, by the time I'm where I need to be or what they call me, I haven't had time. Playing a handheld in my house seems kind of dumb when I could play on the TV. And now for Monster Hunter. There was a time when all the Monster Hunters were only on portable, so I spent a good part of my teens on the PSP and the DS later. Sitting around just about anywhere, hunting and riding my bike was great fun. One of my friends started hunting with me, and we got others to join, but nothing really stuck. Now I take the switch places, and I try to hunt, but my attention is usually needed elsewhere, and as excited as I am to have it with me, it feels more like a nostalgia thing rather than actually playing or hunting. I love Monster Hunter, huh?
Dude, Jacob loves Monster Hunter. Like, you have no idea. Yeah. We went to the Midwest Gaming Classic, and if he saw anything Monster Hunter related, he was just like geeking out. I like it's crazy. It's a series I've been very familiar with. Did not realize there are people who were that nuts about it, and that's awesome. He loves that. So
yeah, I love anybody's excitement for anything. I think the only Monster Hunter I played significantly was the first one on PS2, and I thought it was pretty boring.
Yeah,
but I would love to be corrected on that.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? He would. We had a couple other more from Twitter. We actually had Twitter comments. Nindy Nation at Nindy Nation. I finally think of the games series I only got because of handheld gaming, like Fire Emblem or the retro games I got caught up on because of portability, like Final Fantasy V. That reminds me, Final Fantasy. Oh my goodness, what was the one on original Game Boy? Oh, Final Fantasy Adventure. Did you guys ever play that?
No.
Isn't that secretly a different game?
I don't know.
Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Continue.
I just remember playing it, expecting it to be a turn-based JRPG, and it was more like a Zelda, like over-the-top kind of thing, like gear-gated Zelda game. Yeah. And I really liked it, and I haven't thought about that game in forever. And lastly, Just Filthy at Just Filthy Gamin'. I love handheld over console. Always have. I love the 3DS and still play it, and my Vita too. And
you got a different opinion.
Yeah,
huh?
that's definitely only one that had that comment, I think, between us and all the listeners. So thanks, man. I appreciate it. But thanks so much for all the comments. And I know, Zach, I'm glad you got to be here. You really wanted to be a part of this conversation.
Yeah, because I'm so head over heels in love with the Steam Deck.
Yeah. Works out great.
And I'm remembering Final Fantasy Adventure was Mystic Quest in Europe. That's what I was thinking.
Okay.
Oh, okay. But Mystic Quest was a game on Super Nintendo.
Different game. It was Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that was a different game.
That was a turn-based game, but it was like you went around like a Mario 3 type map to go to, you know what I mean? Like you actually went on a line to a dot, and then you run into enemies and have a battle. Like
yes. For any Europeans, Final Fantasy Mystic Quest is the game Mystic Quest Legend in Europe. So it must have been like a follow-up. What was Square Enix doing in the 90s?
I don't know.
Or it's got Squaresoft at the time. They just couldn't figure it out. Anyway.
Well, I know you guys might be surprised. It's been a pretty short one, but that's going to do it for this episode of The Gaming Outsider. We had a lot to catch up on after missing a week. I promise I'm going to do my best to make sure we don't miss a week. So you're kind of getting a 2-for-1 special this week. But thanks so much for listening. If you've made it this far, this episode of The Gaming Outsider was produced by Kevin Honigford. All the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemage and Metroid Metal. His website, again, is stemagemusic.com. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Zach, any parting words or recommendations before we get out of here?
No, man, I'm all good.
All right, Alyssa?
I do have a K-drama recommendation.
Okay.
It's called Lovely Runner, and I had to watch this because people were spoiling it left and right on social media all over the place. And I'm like, okay, I gotta watch it before something gets spoiled for me. And I'm halfway through. I love it. Everyone is right about the main male character, Ryu Sunjae, ruining men forever, pretty much. The basic plot of the story is this 34-year-old woman is a huge fan of this K-pop idol. He is her bias, and it's because back when she was in the hospital, there was a radio show, and he gave her comfort when she didn't really want to keep going on anymore. She's now a huge fan of him. She goes to the concert. He actually meets her, and hours later, a tragedy occurs. She finds his watch, and she clicks it, and she time travels back to when they're both 19 and they're going to schools next to each other. So she's trying to prevent that tragedy from occurring. So you see her trying to alter the future, but things don't always go as planned. It's adorable, hilarious, but it also deals with some tougher topics as well, and I'm really enjoying it. Hopefully don't get spoiled about the ending or anything, but yeah, people are saying it's the best K-drama so far of the year. I am really enjoying it, and I cannot wait to continue watching it.
Alyssa, you are half of the people I know that watch K-dramas. I don't know who would spoil that for me.
Is it me and Brandy?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm the half.
You're half, and Brandy's the other half of the people that I know that watch K-dramas. I didn't even know it was a thing until Brandy introduced me to it, like last year or something. So, I've also got a film recommendation. I randomly turned on Netflix the other day, and I came across this movie that came out last year called Hitman, not to be confused with the video game franchise. But this one stars Glenn Powell. If you don't recognize that name, he's the guy that played Hangman on the Top Gun Maverick movie.
Wait, I thought it was this year, right?
Is it this year?
It just came out this month. Yeah,
brand new movie.
Oh,
yeah.
is it brand new? Okay,
Yeah.
well, shut my mouth. Then I just thought I just stumbled across it. This movie is worth a watch, guys. This is twisty and turny in ways I was not expecting. I don't know if are you familiar with the premise at all?
I assume it's about a hitman.
Well, yes and no.
It's based on a true story, or
Yeah.
like a real person, right?
I mean, it's I assume loosely based because it's a
Yeah.
pretty ridiculous story. But he's a professor, like a college professor, that moonlights as a guy working for the police. He started doing technical stuff for them, but then like kind of fell into doing undercover busts for people, acting as a hitman, trying to get people to hire him as a hitman so that they could arrest them for attempted murder. And he just like falls into it and gets a knack for doing this, for acting like a tough guy. The first time he does it, I was so in to this movie when he first did it because I was like, he's a doofus, right? And not doofus is not that. He's just like he's a Scott Clark. He's like just overly nice and friendly and just like, easy to get along with kind of thing. And then he just pulls off this tough guy routine in an act on a whim. And they're just like, wow, he's really good. So they just have him do this for the rest of it. And he does it with different acts, different characters and all this kind of stuff. But then it goes deeper and deeper. He falls deeper into the rabbit hole in ways that are very unexpected. I really recommend this movie, man. It's a lot of fun. I've never been like super impressed with him as an actor. Like I enjoyed him in Maverick, but not because of his acting, but just because he was a cool guy. This one I actually like appreciated his acting quite a bit, and it's highly entertaining. So Hitman, it is on Netflix. It's 2 words, not the one. Mm-hmm. All right, that's gonna do it. Like I mentioned, Zach, it's been good to talk to you again. I know we chat over text and everything, but it's good to see you face to face. It's been a couple weeks.
Yeah, miss you guys.
You too, Alyssa. As always, it is awesome. So until next week, I am Scott Clark with Zach Parkerson and Alyssa White, and we are the Gaming Outsider. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.